in the motherfucking building. His hair is looking pristine. I would say per usual, but sometimes he has not great hair days. This is your typical pinnacle 8th grade haircut. Mike Storey, the man, the myth, the legend. How you doing, buddy?
I'm ecstatic. I mean, I'm not. It's a double-edged sword. It's a bittersweet moment. Last football show of the year for me, at least. But we are very, very quickly creeping up on the combine, so we'll be back with all sorts of coverage for that. I can't wait for it. I love the combine so much. I know most people brush it off, but I think there's a ton of information and data to be gleaned from the combine.
There is. You kind of mix what you had preconceived notions of these players, and what I like to do is kind of project what I think that their measurables will be, their size, what their size, if that's accurate, their weight, their speed, especially the 3-cone, and compare what I see on film to what they put, numbers wise. I tend to lean on film more, but sometimes it either reassures you about a player you love, or it kind of reassures you in a player you hate, right? There's a reason this guy's production was down, whatever. Anyways, Mike Storey's last show of the 2025 football season. You were on 68 shows this year, Storey. 68.
Oh, you got the data on that, huh? The metrics?
Yeah, I did some data. I did some metrics here, and not 68 live streams. We did about 18 or 19 shows before we did the live streams. Before I did the live streams. And then you were on like 51 live streams. I did an even deeper data dump here. I did 150 live streams. The average length of these live streams, I kind of figured out 2 hours and 25 minutes for a total of 384 hours live this football season. That's gross. That's 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, that's trying to think what that is on. So that's if you're thinking like a standard 40-hour work week, that's like, what is that? That's 8.5 working weeks. I guess that kind of makes sense then, right? Like it's actually, if you're putting 40 hours a week into it. Okay.
Yeah, it ended up being 17 hours live a week on average. That's not counting prep time and all that kind of shit.
Right.
But that's a lot of stuff there. And anyways, Storey, I appreciate you. You're the go to the fucking industry, man. Like, I'm just saying, the industry of like fantasy pros, you're better than all those fucking guys. You make my job so goddamn easy. Whenever I know you're coming on the show, it's always like, I'm not saying I can mail it in, but I just know it's gonna be a great show. And it's just like I'm like, it's like John Stockton and you're Karl Malone, minus the 13-year-old stuff. That's maybe not a good comparison, but you know what I'm saying.
Different metaphor.
If Karl Malone isn't playing that day, John Stockton's not going to have a great day.
It's true.
So when I got John Stockton there, it's like, okay, I can just dish the ball off here, make a couple threes, as long as he's not distracted by a girl in the crowd. Anyways, we got a big show. We got some lessons learned, 5 lessons learned we're going to have here for the fantasy season that was. We're going to talk some Super Bowl. Storey's got some deep dive into the Super Bowl. I got some prop bets to run by you here. All that kind of good stuff. Also want to shout out to the community. We got Blake in here. What's going on, man? Media manager Blake. What do you think we should call our fans? We just call them fanatics. You know what I mean? So are you familiar with ICP?
Insane Clown Posse?
Yeah. So they have their followers. They're called Juggalos, right?
Right.
And they have a festival called The Gathering. So we need to have something like that.
Yeah. Well, we should have like a reunion or an in-person event sometime in the summer. Let the Patreons fly somewhere if they want or drive somewhere and post up at a bar, watch some baseball or whatever, and just shoot the shit.
Yeah, I was thinking like Vegas for every year kind of thing. We got to figure out a time for this, but that would be badass. Maybe in the future, once we get this thing rolling a little bit more. Once a year, 3-day event, something like that, just to get together and get hammered, which Vegas is kind of what we do in the show already.
Vegas is a good spot. New Orleans is a good spot. I heard the Carolinas is actually a nice meeting spot too. I'll be in Vegas for the Super Bowl. I'll be in Vegas. I'm flying there on Sunday morning.
Yeah, it's I wonder how busy it's going to be, because we were talking earlier how dead Vegas is these days. It's not the Vegas of the 90s, even the 2000s. It's a ghost town, man.
Well, if this is any indication, there's still a shit ton of seats open on my flight, so I don't think it's going to be that busy.
I like it though, because it's same thing as like, you're not a New Orleans fan, but you don't want to go to New Orleans for Mardi Gras unless you're like 21 years old. You want to go to New Orleans when it's dead, because you can actually go places and not be bombarded by people. You want to go to Vegas when you can breathe a little bit.
Exactly.
And it's chill.
Like when you're walking shoulder to shoulder down Las Vegas Boulevard on the Strip, it's uncomfortable. The same thing. The opposite side of that though is in New Orleans when it's not Mardi Gras, you go down there, Bourbon Street. Now you got all the not hookers, but strippers out front, because they are told to go out front and generate business. So they're trying to get you every single strip club that you pass by. They're trying to get you coming in. So you do get hassled that way.
They're hookers, bro. Don't sugarcoat it. They're prostitutes. How about that? Ladies of the night, if you will. They're not dancers. If they were dancers, they'd be in a fucking classy club dancing.
Like
handing out the flyer. Here you go. Here's a flyer.
Blackjacks.
Oh yeah, that's a not a classy establishment. Old school though. Old school. Definitely get some herpes there. Ooh, you got to like that. That's you know your wife is in the gutter if you're at a strip club at noon. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's like
early day. That's not great. It's just a general. It's not really where you want your life to end up. I have a quick question for you. Did you hear the question Mike Vrabel got asked about if this is a must-win game?
No.
Media day.
No. What did he say?
Well, he said he's just like every game's a must-win game. He answered it with class. I would have been like, you're a fucking idiot. Like, yeah, I mean, but also no, it's not a must-win game because it is what it is. You know, it's just like what a dumb question. What the fuck does that even mean? What does that question mean? I don't know.
That's somebody that sneaked into this reporting job. He probably works for the Orlando Sentinel or something like that.
I don't know how I would react to that question.
I brought a little bottle of spermicidal lube too.
And one little bottle of spermicidal lube?
Yeah, one little bottle of spermicidal lube.
Evan, that's psycho shit, man.
It's not.
It's like Charles Manson shit. What do you think Becca's gonna be psyched that you brought a bottle of lube? Oh, Evan, thank you for bringing that lube for my pussy. I never would have been able to handle your fucking 4-inch dick inside my pussy without that gigantic bottle of lube.
Great show. Great movie.
That would have been a good response. That would have been a good response. Blake said somebody also asked Drake May if he plans on winning Sunday. Like, what are these questions, dude? You have all week and all, to prepare these questions, and you come up with that. Like, you don't get that many questions. There's a lot of people asking these questions. That's like asking Donald Trump, hey, how do you think your presidency's going? Like, what do you think the guy's gonna fucking say? He's gonna say it's going good. Drake May is gonna say, yes, I plan on winning.
I mean, we all got to start somewhere, but this sounds like super rookie reporters. Not great. Not great.
Yeah. I mean, I would definitely ask Mike Vrabel about his dick. Like, is he still going to cut off his dick? That's a valid fucking question because he brought it up. It's funny and it can get some like hits on social media. Not this. Do you plan on winning? Jesus Christ. Anyways, 5 lessons learned. Story. Let's start with this. Then we'll get to the Super Bowl a little bit later. So you want to start us off with your first lesson you learned from this past fantasy football season?
So we're starting. So I got Super Bowl props. I got preview.
There was a lot of them, man.
Yeah. All right. So my first one, I only did 5. We're doing 5?
Yeah, I got.
Okay.
5.
So
I got 5.
First one is, I think we learned a valuable lesson about veteran running backs, and don't overlook veteran running backs in good situations, even if a rookie.
I'm sorry, having some internet.
Oh, hang on.
We load back in here. Okay, I think I'm good. You still seem a little frozen. How are we doing?
How's that?
Let me see what we got going on here. I see myself talking. I see you talking. All right, are we good? I see you now.
I'm good. I don't know if you're good. Your internet's being a little wonky tonight.
Yeah, I'm good now. All right, so sorry, I didn't hear anything you said.
All right. So
it's better now. It's better now.
Okay. Don't overlook running backs in good situations, veteran running backs in good situations, even if there's a rookie that ends up being drafted there. Now, this doesn't include super highly drafted rookies like your Ashton Genties, but it does include guys that were drafted a little later on and that we think might impact players. Now, look at Najee Harris with the Chargers, right? Even though Amari Hampton was drafted pretty highly, Najee Harris is still pretty valuable early in the year. Ramondre Stevenson with the Patriots. Now, this is another one where it took forever for Henderson to become involved, and even here in the playoffs, we've seen the opposite here. J.K. Dobbins with the Broncos, Jalen Warren, Kenneth Gainwell with the Steelers, R.I.P. Caleb Johnson. That is horrific. And this is the one I think you're going to love a lot. Javonte Williams with the Cowboys. You remember the steam that Jaden Blue was getting in August and how Javonte Williams was getting buried. So for me, I'm going to look for these situations where you've got day 2, day 3 rookies that are coming in that are expected to disrupt this backfield, and people get hyped up about rookies where the veteran can provide a lot of value, at least in the beginning of the season, provide you some very steady RB2 production.
Yeah, the Javonte Williams one is a prime example of it. The other guys, the Trayvon Hendersons and some of these other guys, Caleb Johnson at least was a 3rd-round pick. Like, Jaden Blue was never ready for the NFL, and that was part of my love for Javonte Williams. It was a 2 years removed from the major injury, and just Jaden Blue never comped as a workhorse and just had knucklehead tendencies, right? Ball security issues, a bad pass blocker, bad vision, like he was never ready to play. And when Miles Sanders is your competition, Javonte Williams got paid more money, followed the money there, and that seemed to be the right call. So that's a really good one, man. Unless it's a top 10, top 15 pick. Right? You always just go with the veterans. And, Stevenson was such a good value this year. Such a good fucking value.
Tremendous value. Najee Harris was a tremendous value. Unfortunately, he did get injured. Man, Dobbins was a value. So, yeah, again, like, unless you're looking at a guy that's now what are we looking at this year? We're looking at, what's his name? Jonah Coleman from Washington coming out. Probably going to be a guy that gets drafted in a good situation. We're worried about that. I'm not talking about Jeremiah Love, right? This guy's going to be drafted top 10. So, he's going to go somewhere and make an absolute impact. But keep an eye out when those draft results come in and you start thinking about those backfields.
Well, another one we failed to mention was Travis Etienne. Travis Etienne he was going super late. He was still probably going towards the end of draft season, highest among the running backs, but it was, 9th round, 10th round, 11th round for these guys. And Travis Etienne was the clear winner of that job from day one, dude. Basel Tootin was an afterthought.
I mean, they should have signaled to us that they were very comfortable with that backfield, especially with ETN when they shipped Bigsby off to Philadelphia.
Right. They wouldn't have shipped him off to for an incumbent rookie that was a 4th round pick, right?
Exactly.
3rd or 4th round pick. All right. My first one is coaching changes are very important. And I know we kind of say this every year, but no better example than this year. I'll give you 3 examples on the positive side and 3 on the negative side. 3 positives: Bears, Jags, Patriots. Like, the Patriots were probably the worst coach team last year in general. All around, right? And they bring in McDaniels, they bring in Vrabel, who's a professional head coach, and they didn't add that much. They added Stephon Diggs, but it's not like they have the best receiver room in the league. It's just they had professional coaches in there, which changed everything. The Jaguars, Liam Cohen. I mean, they won 8 straight games at the end of the year. Trevor Lawrence went from a questionable not even a franchise guy, like a questionable starting quarterback in the NFL to MVP conversations, and then Ben Johnson and the Bears, like. I know the offensive numbers don't quite look as good as we think they should have been this year, but it was the strides they made offensively. It wasn't even that much fantasy relevant because they spread the ball around, and Caleb was fine for fantasy, but he didn't break the bank. But I feel like it's trending in the right direction. The operation was clean, and we saw it just keep on getting better towards the playoffs. 3 examples of negative coaching changes. The Raiders with Pete Carroll hiring his son as the offensive line coach. What the fuck is that? The Jets, which is wild because the Jets had a bad coaching situation the last couple of years. It got worse, guys. There was nothing usable for the Jets all year outside of Breece Hall the first 9 weeks of the season. And the Buccaneers losing Liam Cohen, the opposite to that Jaguars situation, is the Bucs if anything, added talent this year. They added Ibuka, right?
Yeah.
And they went way down. EPA per play, what were they, top 3 last year? They were in like the mid-20s, man. It was rough. Now Baker got a little banged up. Baker's always banged up. That's one guy, Liam Cohen. So these coaching changes, man, we really have to pay attention to. And I have 3 names for you next year on the positive end that could have this spike I mentioned with the Bears, Jags, and Pats. It's the Cardinals. Now, I don't really love what they did there in the hires, but it's more addition by subtraction, because Jonathan Gannon, how bad is Jonathan Gannon?
He's bad. He's bad.
So the Cardinals will have a better staff just based on being somewhat competent. I feel like these guys might be competent. The Raiders, without Pete Carroll and now having a good offensive mind there. And then the Titans, man, me and Nico talked about this for a while when he was on last week, bringing in an awesome defensive coordinator in Robert Saleh. And he's the head coach. And then Brian Daboll, say what you will about the guy as a head coach. I think he's a clown as a head coach. Hell of a coordinator. I mean, he's a mini quarterback whisperer. Would you agree?
I don't know if I could go that far. He's a good coordinator, though. I'm excited to see what Tennessee looks like with him kind of helming the offense there. Yeah, this next year's going to be a little wild because we had 21 offensive coordinators that switched position, that turned over this year. So it's going to be interesting to see, with all the head coaching changes, all the offensive coordinators, all the defensive coordinators, what teams actually want to prioritize. Like, I'm worried about the Giants with the hire of Matt Nagy as their offensive coordinator and John Harbaugh. That feels like 2 sides of the same coin. A lot of like stability without a lot of excitement or explosiveness.
Blake says, I'm eager to see how Tennessee spends the money in free agency. I think they might be number one. I know they're top 3 in money to spend, which is a nice, you pair that with professional coaching. And it's not just the coaching upgrades, which I like Saleh a lot as a coordinator. I don't know about his head coaching ability, but we mentioned this, me and Nick O did, about does having 2 failed head coaches equal 1 good head coach? You know what I'm saying? Like having, like you saw this with Dennis Allen, right? Bad head coach, but I like Dennis Allen as a coordinator. So like, I don't like Brian Daboll as a head coach, and I don't really like Robert Saleh as a head coach, but having a defensive coordinator, or, your best coordinator, if you're the head coach, as a former head coach, that kind of helps. Like, does it like kind of make it an average head coach just based on experience?
Who knows?
Well, I'm also asking you a head coach question, which is not ideal.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't want to say that Saleh failed in New York because that's just a dysfunctional franchise. But Tennessee's got some of the foundation there, but it's still a team that has a lot of work to do to be competitive in the AFC, even as bad as the AFC has been in recent years. So we'll see what Tennessee looks like. Again, I'm trying not to get too over my skis, but I do like those 3 teams that you mentioned.
And it was also just those 3 teams are just so easy because it literally can't get worse. Maybe I think the Cardinals might stay the same, but I can promise you the Raiders and Titans are going to operate at a much more, at least league average in terms of proficiency, professionalism, all those kind of things. So that was minor league shit Story.
It's fair. You're not going to find an argument for me.
All right. What is your second lesson that you learned?
The late round quarterback strategy and quarterback streaming still holds up, even after the proliferation of dual threat quarterbacks have kind of influx of these into the league, right? So let's look at Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts this year as 3 examples that were all drafted pretty highly, and they're dual threat quarterbacks. All of them underperformed relative to expectations. You can also throw in Baker Mayfield, a highly drafted, on the back of let's say an unsustainable touchdown rate. You could also throw in Joe Burrow. Now, that's a health thing. I don't want to ding him too much because he did perform when he was there, but you could throw in Patrick Mahomes. Then on the flip side, you got Matthew Stafford.
Bo Nix didn't return value either.
Bo Nix, yeah. I mean, there's tons of guys you could mention, but you look at Matthew Stafford, who was on many waiver wires midway through the season. Drake May, who's now playing in the Super Bowl. He didn't set the world on fire, but he was certainly a serviceable quarterback. Trevor Lawrence, right? You had mentioned MVP conversation, even though he got 0 votes, unfortunately.
Oh, he should have been.
And then the
Justin Herbert
boy for streaming quarterbacks who turned into a every week starter when he wasn't hurt, Jackson Dart. So I'm going to be staying away as much as I love the dual threat ability and some of the upside that these bring. If the situation doesn't, if it unfolds a little bit, we could be in a bad spot. Lamar Jackson absolutely destroyed you this year. So I'm going to go for some late round guys. I'm going to take a look and see who's available later on in drafts, and then who's also, some of the waiver wire guys that you can look at streaming midway through the season.
So that is my number 3. I'll just go right to that. Mine just, I said, late round quarterback is still king. And here's the thing. There was that stretch, right? So there was a 10-year stretch where late round quarterback was all the noise. It always worked out. And then the last 2 or 3 years, all the early guys had panned out. Lamar hit every year. Josh Allen hit every year. And that was Jalen Hurts, right? Was that guy. And it actually made it, they paid off value, right? The 2nd or 3rd round pick, even in the home leagues, even higher than that. They paid off value because they were so much better than the 2nd tier of quarterbacks. And this year, even Josh Allen barely returned value. You can say he was a fair pick at his price just because he was number 1 quarterback by a mile because there was no one at number 2 really. But it was just, he was so inconsistent. So it was the worst of all the years for the elite quarterbacks. And like you mentioned, Matt Stafford, some of these other guys, they were tier 2 quarterbacks that you drafted in tier 4, tier 5. So this year, or 2026, I also have, unless you get great value. So it's more like, let's not reach on quarterbacks. I'm looking at, 7, 8, 9, 10 picks after ADP is the only time I'd ever look at any quarterback. And looking at it this year, just early look Story, we have the tier 1 guys, Josh Allen, Drake May, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels.
It's more of the same, right? The same guys that we saw last year for the most part.
But I think that the big change is going to be is that, Jaden Daniels and Joe Burrow were that 4-5, Jalen Hurts, those were the 4-5 guys this past year, but they went in like the early 4th round or, early 4th round. I feel like this year it's going to be Josh Allen still in the same spot, right? End of the second, early third. And then the fifth guy, the fourth and fifth guy, might go more like fifth or sixth round, just based on what we saw. At that point, I don't mind taking quarterback 5 because you already have 4 or 5 studs on your team. What you don't want to do is what happened last year was taking Jaden Daniels in the early 4th. Like, that is giving up good value because once you get past I feel like the mid 5th, it's kind of a crapshoot with these players. Yeah, there was a lot of awesome values, George Pickens, Chris Olave, guys like that. But you're not giving up like guaranteed value at those other positions. So, and then after this, it's a mess though. Jalen Hurts, Jackson Dart, Justin Herbert, Mahomes, Prescott, Lawrence, Brock Purdy rounding out the top 12. And listen to these guys outside the top 12. So essentially outside the starters in a normal 12-team league. Caleb Williams, Matt Stafford, Bo Nix, Jordan Love, Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield. That's 13 through 18. Like those guys are all the same. I feel like those guys are the same as Dak, Lawrence, and Purdy. Right? Like what's the difference?
Name me the top 10 again, if you would.
Josh Allen, Drake May, Lamar, Joe Burrow, and Jaden Daniels, top 5. And then Hurts, Dart, Herbert, Mahomes, Prescott.
How's Mahomes going in the top 10?
Because it's Patrick Mahomes and people will always draft him.
I mean, the dude tore a ligament and a half in his knee. I don't understand. Like, I can't. So I don't want to start looking at ADP trends right now because I don't believe any of this stuff is accurate and actionable whatsoever. These ADPs, the fact that Baker Mayfield is still going in the top 10 is mind-boggling.
No, Baker Mayfield's 18.
Okay. So then
I love that value. I love that value.
Well, we got different, like there's different results then too, because if you look at like Draft Sharks, they've got Baker Mayfield ADP of 8. So how can you really take anything from these ADPs? Right, like
that's not ADP. It's more just their early like rankings. Right?
Well, I think rankings a little different. But if I'm looking at ADP, that means where people are actually drafting. I would assume, but I don't know. It's too early to start talking about it. But let's wait and see what things look like in April.
All right, what is your third lesson that you learned?
Tight ends suck. They're a horrible position. It's worse in college fantasy football. Trust me, it is worse. If you think it's bad in the NFL, it's 10 times worse in college. But so I'm going to go back to the strategy of draft a top-tier tight end and cross your fingers, say a prayer that they stay healthy. RIP George Kittle. I don't think he's going to be really fantasy relevant for the rest of his career. Or just wait on the position. So let's look at the top, let's go through some of in the top 10, top 12. Kyle Pitts was a tight end 2 overall, but 25% of his points came in week 15. That's not obviously sustainable, and it doesn't really help you in the long run. Kelsey had 7 single-digit scoring weeks, but was the tight end. He finishes the tight end 3. Tyler Warren was a tight end 8, despite not scoring double digits since week 12. AJ Barner was the tight end 13, even though he finished tight end 21 or worse 8 times, and he was a tight end 53 one time. So for me, McBride and Bowers, and they better have some value. I can't justify taking McBride in the first round, even though he set records, because he won't set records again. He won't get anywhere close to setting records. The volume that they had during those weeks with Jacoby Brissett was unsustainable. So McBride and Bowers are the only tight ends worth drafting early next year. Otherwise, wait on the position. And now I've kind of softened on the don't draft rookie tight ends. Thank you, Tyler Warren, coming in. He was productive. He has a Daniel Jones quarterback getting hurt problem. So yeah, so for me, 2 early tight ends, and then just if you don't see anything, forget about it and worry about tight end way down the road.
Because what you're losing from, like you're saying, let's say you get the guy that ends up at quarterback or tight end 7 at the end of the year, right? And you draft him at tight end 7. Compared to just playing the waiver wire game, like tight end 13 to tight end 7 is like 1.5 points a game. Like that is nothing, bro. Like our scores, your scoring is 130 to 135, like 1.5 points. It's not going to make a difference. So I'd rather just play that game of just waiting. And the only one I'm looking at would be Brock Bowers next year if he falls to the end of the second, early third. Because Trey McBride is insane. First round is just never works out. Even the Kelsey years, I argue with people all the time. They're like, dude, the positional advantage. I'm like, but, Bijan Robinson or CMC this year was the same, actually a better positional advantage because you were scoring 24 points a game from that spot. Right? Where it's nice that McBride was getting 18 points a game. Like it's the same difference, and just give me the scarce position because you can always pick up another tight end. You can't always pick up another running back. That's my thing. So yeah, I'm not looking at that.
I mean, you look at the weeks that CeeDee Lamb wasn't available in Dallas. Jake Ferguson popped off. There is one guy.
He was tight end 1.
and I think you're going to appreciate. There is one guy, and you got to keep an eye on the offseason reports, on the training camp reports. Tucker Kraft. Tucker Kraft had a monster breakout season. He was on the way. So let's cross our fingers that he comes back healthy and we can utilize him because of his injury, his ADP should be suppressed. Should get a great value on Tucker Kraft. I'm going hard on Kraft if he comes back and he's ready to go week 1.
Yeah, man, I'm looking right now and I'm just trying to not about what they have it listed at. They have it McBride, Bowers. They have Kraft at 3 somehow. Loveland, I think Loveland would be 3. Kraft, Loveland, Warren, Fannin, Laporta, Kyle Pitts, Kincaid, Gatson top 10.
Yeah, that'll make. So if you take Kraft out of there, I was thinking, McBride, Bowers, Loveland, Warren, Fannin. I would put probably Hampton in the top 12 somewhere. I would guess that he would sneak in. Not Hampton. Who's the guy? No. What's the guy from LA, the Chargers guy? He had like 3 great weeks in the middle of the season. It'll come to me.
Yeah, Rondé Gatson.
Gatson, thank you. Yeah.
Especially if you're not going to have any Keenan Allen there. But I'm really digging Sam Laporta at tight end 7. And that's traditionally a bad range to draft guys, but just different coordinator there. They love the tight ends, and he's also coming off a back injury. Okay, my next one is, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Running backs apparently just stay healthy now. So that's my lesson that I learned, is that running backs stay healthy. And it's not about draft strategy as much, where you're drafting these early running backs. It has to do with my particular handcuff strategy that I love. And outside of I think we really need to, before next year, kind of go through and find guys we know are difference makers if they get the starting job, because just getting a guy based on name value, right? Kamani Vidal was that guy who actually worked out, right? He was pretty goddamn productive as a starter. But there's a lot of these guys where you think it's going to work out and it just doesn't. Devin Neal, for instance, right? Became the starter, but what did you even have? It wasn't even worth rostering because it's a wasted roster spot until the guy gets hurt. And the problem is, if we're not for sure that he's going to get the bell cow work, then it's a wasted roster spot when he's actually the starter. So what's the point of even rostering these guys? So I have to rethink my strategy. I kind of have just a saying that handcuffs are less valuable now than they used to be, just because they have less games started due to injuries.
Fewer games.
And there you go, fewer. Thank you, 4 degree story. And then 10 max, man. I feel like 10's a cutoff. Like, I'm not any drafting. Remember how Ollie Gordon was steamed up boards at the end of the season? Like, Ollie Gordon is not only is he going to be the handcuff, he's going to be the goal line work. Well, guess what? The one game we saw Devin Achane get hurt, Jalen Wright got 18 carries. You know what I mean? Like,
wasn't it like 24 touches overall or something crazy? It was
yeah. And Ollie Gordon had like 4 touches.
And Achane played the next week. So it's not like you even had a guy that you could rely on.
Right.
And Vidal had his spots here and there, but it was like an every other week kind of thing. The waiver wire was borderline useless this year. This is a mini lesson, but God, stay off of Twitter during fantasy football season, because every week you'll get thread bros coming in saying this is the most underrated waiver wire week of the year, and it's all crap. They're just shoveling you crap. It's strictly for engagement. Stay away from that. Come here, because we'll give you the real names, a la Michael Wilson, right?
Well, hey, remember my Parker Washington 2-week stretch where I was just talking about Parker Washington every week? And actually, I was right about it and wrong about it, because he won me 2 matchups because he had 4 touchdowns in 3 games, and then they traded for Jacoby Myers, and Brian Thomas came back. So then I dropped Parker Washington in all those leagues. And then he ended up being almost a league winner the last 2 weeks. He was awesome.
Yeah. So I agree. I think part of it is.
But again, we're talking about these guys before they broke out. That's the key. Talk about before they break out.
From the running back side of things, part of it is a physics problem. We have talked about that in previous streams. Part of it is probably just medical science, training, nutrition. All that is just getting better. These guys are just staying healthier in general. Like, size doesn't seem to be a big difference anymore for guys like Devon Achane. So we'll see. I kind of agree. I also think that dovetails into zero RB, while not dead, is a lot more difficult of a strategy to pull off, I would think, going forward.
Yeah, and I think it also comes down to the fact that teams are spreading the ball around so much, and the emergence of a few of these elite tight ends that are getting, wide receiver 1 targets. So that team isn't going to have a wide receiver 1. So it thins out the elite wide receivers. And there's just so many of these guys that, wide receiver 30 through wide receiver 45 are all startable week to week. So it kind of takes some of the numbers away from those mid-tier wide receiver 2s. You know what I'm saying? Like, those guys aren't having the nuclear seasons. And the fact that running game is back, right? So running back touchdowns are up so much that there's less receiving touchdowns. I mean, remember the years where there was multiple 5,000-yard passers? Now we have a 17-game season and we're not getting 5,000-yard passers.
Well, not only that, you're getting games where top-tier quarterbacks are throwing for 90 yards, which is just mind-boggling when you think of like, so how many games did Caleb Williams go into halftime with fewer than 70 yards passing? It's just absolutely incredible that is possible in today's NFL. But I'll get to that in a little more detail in my number 5.
Okay, my number 4 is I just have predicting injuries is bullshit, and this kind of goes along with like the CMC thing of just because a guy's injury prone, like I'm not going to fade him anymore. Like I'm not going to fade injury prone players just based on past years of injury, because CMC is a prime example, man. Like there's no, like, it's a riddle how he stayed healthy this year. How age,
Dark
workload,
magic.
coming in with an injury. It's unreal. Yeah, it was voodoo for sure. But what I want to fade though is holdouts, which is now officially a thing with the Terry McLaurin example. We saw this multiple times with Ayuk, with Debo. And then guys that get hurt in training camp. That is where I'm going to, like, guys that are already hurt, we need to just kind of take off our boards because it is not worth it. It is not worth it. So guys like Terry McLaurin that hold out, that don't get a contract till late in the year, even Terry McLaurin is a guy I figured, I think you'd probably agree, Storey, is a team first guy and a really good guy. I don't think he was not in shape. He was keeping himself in shape, but football shape is a whole different animal. And I'm saying he's not like George Pickens is different. Like I don't trust George Pickens to stay in shape, right? Like over a guy like Terry McLaurin. But we saw Terry McLaurin not be able to hack it, and multiple injuries, right? Lost season for Terry McLaurin.
Lost season for sure. I'm in on him depending on his ADP next year because he still is a phenomenal talent, and the situation should be better. Daniel's coming back. But I'm with you. Don't go chasing injuries in preseason and during draft season because those injuries are going to find you in season. There's no reason to increase the chances that you're going to bust out with somebody when they already got injured. The greatest predictor of future injury for a season is a previous injury.
Mm-hmm. What do you have? You have your number. You're on 5 now?
Four.
What do you got?
Yeah. So running back volume, which everybody talks about nonstop, doesn't necessarily equate to fantasy success if the surrounding environment is subpar. Let's look at guys like Quinshon Judkins, for example. He had some great games. He had some games that were absolutely horrendous. Ashton Genty. Took him a while to figure things out, and in that little stretch in the kind of final 2/3 of the season, looked great, but the beginning when they weren't utilizing properly and when the offense wasn't clicking, it was bad. It was tough to get through that stretch. Barkley is a big one. He finished as the running back, 13 or something like that, but the volume wasn't there. He definitely took he was the offense for the most part, but they stopped passing to the running backs very much. Tony Pollard, he popped off at the end there, but by that point, a lot of people had dropped him. And then Jordan Mason, people were steaming up Jordan Mason. Those 4 weeks when Aaron Jones was injured, so weeks 3, 4, 5, and 7, because they had that bye week in there. Yeah, week 3, double-digit fantasy points. But other than that, 4, 5, and 7, it was mediocre production at best. So if the offensive scheme doesn't support it, then I'm going to be trepidatious buying into volume-based running backs, especially those that don't have a really good pass-catching profile. That, for example, Jordan Mason.
So that's my number 5 is right along with you. Volume isn't everything. And the two examples, the number 1 was Ashton Genty, was 6 for running backs in total touches. And he wasn't terrible in terms of total finish. It was, I think, like wide running back 11. But that's a lot of touches. That's a lot of fucking touches. And that's exactly what we signed up for, right? We just didn't foresee this offense being that bad. But the writing was on the wall there if we really had looked deeper into it. And then Justin Jefferson, dude, and Genty, I feel like is a borderline elite talent, but he was a rookie. Justin Jefferson's an all-time talent. So Justin Jefferson's 6th in the NFL in targets. 6th, dude. 141 targets. And this is kind of a quarterback situation where it's like, we've seen guys in the past that have been quarterback proof. Remember DeAndre Hopkins for those years in Houston?
Yeah.
It was the worst quarterback carousel ever. Josh Gordon, that stretch Josh Gordon had.
Justin Blackmon.
Those are outliers. Those are outliers, man. Justin Jefferson, and Justin Jefferson is also tied to a pretty goddamn good head coach and offensive coordinator there in Kevin O'Connell. And his talent and Kevin O'Connell could not overcome this. And it wasn't just JJ McCarthy, man. It was Carson Wentz. It was a little better when he was playing with Carson Wentz, but it was Carson Wentz and it was that clown, Max Brosmer. And 141 targets for Justin Jefferson should never equal a wide receiver 3 in fantasy. I think he was in points per game wide receiver 3 range.
I would not have guessed that Justin Jefferson was 6th in the NFL in targets this year. That is a wild statistic.
So the point is, volume is like it's a big predictor of fantasy success, but I think efficiency and being in a good offense is better because the volume will come. You will earn targets if you're a good enough player. I don't care how much you spread the ball around, but 6 of the targets for Justin Jefferson is it's mind-boggling how bad of a season he had. And this isn't just a good player. Justin Jefferson's a top 3 wide receiver in all of the NFL. I mean, that's not even debatable, right?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Top 3. I mean, well, he's in that 3-4 range because I don't know if you discount ASB, Jamar Chase, and Puka Nacua.
I love St. Brown, but Justin Jefferson's a better receiver, bro.
And JSN and Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yeah, I love St. Brown, but I'm saying, dude, St. Brown is just in such a nice little cozy spot there in Detroit. Like, he could disappear if he wasn't a bad team. He's just not big. He's not versatile enough, man. Justin Jefferson can run every route on the fucking field. And
they've got a quarterback problem that they need to solve there in Minnesota.
You know what they could also do? Maybe Kevin O'Connell could give him some of these layup targets, like put him in the slot. Just because he's the best outside receiver in football doesn't mean you have to only use him there. I mean, remember Jamar Chase?
You remember the game that Kendrick Bourne scored 3 touchdowns earlier this year, that Thursday night game, where they just ran him on crossing routes nonstop, and all he was doing was catching crossing routes and just beating guys to the sideline, like just over and over again. Like, why can't you do that? Little comebacks, crossing routes, outs, things to get the ball in Justin Jefferson's hands and let him make plays on the field. Everything's got to be
that'd be really nice.
Yeah.
Well, and not just lining him up against the best corner every time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that would be helpful. Move him around the formation.
JSN, they line him up in the backfield in the fucking slot. But they put him in motion. I've never seen Justin Jefferson in motion the last 2 years.
Dude,
it's a novel concept.
Motion is a staple of a Clint Kubiak offense. It's a hallmark.
Motion in the ocean. You have your 5th one?
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit already, but production from wide receivers 2 and below, so your 13 and below, dipped again this year and is likely to stay muted in the coming years. So my 30,000-foot view, I don't have any direct evidence to support this, but this is what I hypothesize is going on, is teams are playing a lot more too high safety and mixed man zone coverages on defense to limit downfield plays and anything over the top. And then offenses tend to be countering that by both playing more 12 and 13 personnel to an extent and targeting underneath routes. So let's look. There were 21 wide receivers who scored 15 PPR points per game in 2024 and only 11 in 2025. So that's half right there. The result is running backs are likely going to end up being better picks than wide receivers in the early rounds and the middle rounds. So prioritize wide receiver 1s. Those guys that you have a really good sense are going to be a wide receiver 1 for your team in fantasy, and then pound running backs and try to fill in things with wide receiver because they've been the production has dipped so much. Just look at guys later on and try to find those upside running backs in the middle rounds.
Yeah, it's wild. And you mentioned the 12 and 13 personnel. No better example than the Rams. Like, just they're taking fucking Devontae Adams. Earlier in the year, remember they were taking Puka off the field and just keeping Devontae out. And then once Devontae got hurt and he came back in the playoffs, you noticed they'd take Devontae off the field and they're only running one wide receiver, 13 personnel. Wild stuff. I mean, and like you can't tell me that Davis Allen is better than Devontae Adams, but it's a schematic thing. It's an advantage that Sean McVay sees.
He thought, yes, and it's not like Kyron Williams and Blake Corum are these monster running backs where they're just going to pound it down your throat. They're still creating space, but he's utilizing different packages in order to get that space available to them. So I don't think it's one of Higbee or Davis Allen's not going to be there next year, but it should still be a pretty heavy 12 personnel packages. The NFC Championship game was absolutely crazy because multiple plays in a row, they looked like the 1965 Iowa Hawkeyes just running, 3 tight ends on the field. It was a sight to see in the modern NFL.
I think I like Ferguson next year a lot, man, because one thing I noticed, man, I was watching Kenyon Sadiq's film for Oregon. I didn't know that Ferguson went to Oregon. I didn't, again, I'm not a college guy. And I noticed him on the field a lot, and dude, he's huge and he's fast. What are your thoughts on Sadiq real quick?
For sure going to be the top tight end drafted. Eli
Yeah.
Storey will be around there. He's the guy from Vanderbilt. You should look at Michael Trigg, but he'll for sure. He's kind of a tweener. He's not like a true move tight end, but he's also not a monster of a blocker. He has some good blocking chops. His production isn't ecstatic. You're not ecstatic about his production over the course of his college career, but don't forget, like I think he had like 27 passes 2 years ago, but he was behind Terrence Ferguson there. He showed big playmaking ability this year at Oregon. I'm excited for him. I think, again, I've softened on the don't draft rookie tight ends. I think he's a guy, depending on where if he doesn't get steamed up too much, he's a guy that could return some value as a late round draft pick next year.
Yeah, we have a lot of time to talk about prospects, but for me, the first thing that jumped off in my mind was he's undersized, and it kind of reminds me of it. He's a more athletic Harold Fannin, and I say that he's way better with the ball in his hands. Like I think Fannin ran a 4.71. I project that Sadiq's gonna run like a 4.55, but he is not nearly as polished as Harold Fannin was coming out. I think we all underrated the fact that Harold Fannin led all FBS any position in receptions in college. Like that plays, you know what I'm saying? That plays. And you saw that in the field with the Browns. Like they could line him up all over the field. That's the hope with Sadiq. If they try to line up, if a team drafts him and tries to line him up at inline tight end, he's gonna have a bad time.
Yeah, I was trying to think about like really good landing spots for him, and teams like Washington come to mind. Like that would be a really good landing spot for Kenyon Sadiq.
Ooh, yeah, Washington's gonna be a great landing spot for whoever it is, whether it's Kyle Pitts, whether it's Isaiah Likely. Me and Chaz talked about that last night. That'd be a really good landing spot for him because they apparently hate Ben Sinnott. They don't like him. I don't know why. You know, I'm a big Ben Sinnott guy. He just seems like a nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna hit you guys with the intro, and we're gonna talk some Super Bowl. Talk some Super Bowl 60. It's Super Bowl 60, right?
We're gonna have to talk the big game. Super Bowl's trademark. So.
Oh, the big game. Jesus, yeah. NFL. TreVeyon Henderson sucks, by the way. I had to add that into the intro just because he is fucking awful. I can't wait to just not draft him and watch people draft him in the 4th round next year and laugh my ass off. I just can't wait. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. People are, you know what they're gonna say? They're gonna be like, "Oh, dude, TreVeyon Henderson's a fucking wild card, man. Like he has the fantasy. He's got the fantasy juice, man. He's a wild card."
So Frank is the brains, and you're just the looks now.
And I'm still the wild card, so that's good.
No, guys, we're forsaking the group dynamic, okay? And truthfully, Charlie, come on. I mean, nobody wants a wild card, okay? It doesn't make any sense. We don't want a maniac in our group, but there's no benefit to it. I feel like you just agreed with me, but you weren't listening to what I was saying.
Yes. You pointed at me like I said something, but I didn't.
Is he listening to it? I can't tell.
He's listening. He's not understanding.
Yeah, he doesn't even like get us, man.
We're talking about you.
Henderson, he doesn't even get us, man.
We'll have to download some sunny movies or shows for the plane.
You definitely have to. I have a question. This is from my dad. So we just did Tropic Thunder on Monday. Go check that out. It was a pretty wild show. But I totally overlooked White Chicks. So we were talking about the whole blackface Robert Downey Jr. thing and how just you can't do that anymore, right? It can't even be touched. Sonny touched it, and they took those episodes off Hulu. So remember this? Look at this thing. Remember this? White Chicks?
Yes, I remember that.
With the Wayans brothers? 2004 story. 2004. And I don't think this movie got a lot of backlash. And I think maybe it was because of 2004 and Tropic Thunder was, 6 years later. But it's the same thing, right? Like, what's the difference? Like, because I watched like the trailer, and all they're doing is just making fun of white people and like white chicks, how dumb they are, and just with their purses and all that kind of shit. So it's the same thing, right?
It comes down to systemic racism and centuries of oppression as it relates to whites enslaving and then holding down blacks. So it's like one of those, like, come on, like you guys did this. Let us have the white face. Like
right. I'm fine with all faces. I'm fine with all faces.
Centuries of bullshit. Let us have the white face.
Yeah. So what you couldn't do is you couldn't do Jufro, right? Because those people have been oppressed. So
you can't do that. You can't do like caricatures of Asian people, Asian stereotypes anymore. You can make fun of Canadians. Like people make fun of Canadians all the time. So go nuts on Canadians.
I think you should be able to make fun of everybody. And it's funny as you mentioned the you can't do the Asian thing. Sunny also did that with what the hell is the character name D does? It's really bad. She does Martina Martinez, and in terms of the Latina thing, they go down all those wormholes. All those episodes got pulled, which is just bullshit. By the way, don't pull. Let's not pull our episodes. Right? Let's not do that. I don't like.
Look at this. This is Laurence Olivier in Othello, and this is James Earl Jones. Now look at how close they look.
Look at that. James Earl Jones doing a great blackface.
James Earl Jones has a black face. He's a black man.
He's not black. James
Of course
Earl
he's black.
He was Darth Vader.
Darth Vader was black?
No,
See, okay, there we go.
Darth Vader was not black. They took the mask off. He was white.
It's my favorite. All right, we're gonna get the Super Bowl. You got something to say, Storey? Sorry.
I'm just saying, I agree. I don't like pulling stuff off of like don't put it on Comedy Central, but pulling it off of Hulu. Come on, what are we doing? Like that you have to be able to separate some, be able to compartmentalize and realize like that was made in a different time, and so let people who want to watch it watch it. If you want to put a warning in front of it, that's fine too.
We should do Helen Hunt face.
That would be
Helen. That
would be a interesting Halloween costume.
Kevin says, how many offensive and defensive coordinators have been fired besides coaches? You mentioned 21, right? 21 different offensive coordinators.
If it was offensive coordinators or if that was coordinators, period. But sure feels like
probably coordinators, period.
Okay, so sure feels like there's been a lot.
That's essentially, if you want to say it's 12 offensive, that's a third of the league. That's over a third of the league is going to have different schematic stuff going on there in first-time coordinators, which – not everyone is Liam Cohen and Ben Johnson, right? Those guys come in and they put their stamp on it and it works right away. Most of these guys, it takes some time to, also just getting the right personnel in there. A lot of times you come in there, you don't have your guys. That's what Ben Johnson did. And we scoffed at Ben Johnson with the Loveland pick and the Luther Burden pick, but it appears those were the right picks. Luther Burden, still the jury's still out, but Loveland, I mean, we were wrong on that one, man. We got to take the L because
take the L on that, yeah, for sure. And Luther Burden.
We take L's.
He looked like he could certainly propel himself, especially if DJ Moore's not there. Now, but the counter to that is a lot of these offensive coordinators are offensive coordinators in name only, and the head coach serves as a de facto offensive coordinator, both implementing their scheme and with calling the plays. So somebody like Mike LaFleur, like he's going to be calling the plays there. So I'm not really worried about who the offensive coordinator is there.
But the crazy thing is, I heard this thing about Sean McVay's offensive coordinators have been really successful when they leave, but none of them actually call plays when they're under McVay.
Yeah.
But I think they're soaking up so much of this knowledge that they understand how to run the infrastructure of the team.
Dude, Sean McVay's coaching tree just keeps getting bigger and more impressive. And
he's so young. It's like, how does he have a coaching tree? It's like Belichick's coaching tree, but he's 40.
Right? It's kind of scary to watch.
He's got something brewing pretty well underneath that awesome hair he has. You like his hair, Storey?
I do like his hair, yeah.
Have you seen his wife?
Somebody said he looked like the white Kash Patel, and now it's kind of tough to not see it.
Do you like his wife?
I don't know that I've seen her. I'm sure I've seen her. I don't know I can't remember what she looks like.
He's doing a lot of things right. I'm just saying he's doing a lot of things. He's got a very good life. Very good life. Successful coach. He could retire right now and never have to work again in his life. He's almost a Hall of Famer. If he continues this for 5-6 more years, he's one more bowl.
He almost retired a couple of years ago when Matthew Stafford was thinking about retiring. Matthew Stafford did announce. So if you haven't heard, Stafford won the MVP, barely beat out Drake May, 24-23, something like that. Trevor Lawrence, 0 votes. But Stafford said he's coming back next year. So that'll be interesting to watch. Yeah, I'm excited for that whole team.
Yeah, man. They're going to run it back, and I think they're going to have I feel like their roster had a lot of holes in it. It was masked by the coaching and Matt Stafford and Puka just being a god. They can stir up that offensive line a little bit more, even though Stafford only took, 23 sacks this year. He gets the ball out really fast. But that defense, that secondary was really leaky, bro. And on top of that, the special teams, all-time horrendous special teams.
Oh, special teams. Yeah, that's historic. But you mentioned the secondary, like just what Carolina was able to do to them in the wild card round was a sight to behold.
And there's also a way in today's NFL where you can, their pass rushers are pretty elite, but they actually didn't get elite pass rush this year, if that makes sense. If they can just shore up that and make that an elite unit, right, like a Philly unit, then you don't actually have to solidify the back end as much because they will mask any issues because you're going to have an extra, you're going to have a second less to throw the ball, which is, remember what the Cowboys are doing there with Deron Bland and fucking Travion Diggs, who are terrible corners. But they would look like world beaters because that defensive line and Micah Parsons were just wreaking havoc on the quarterback.
Yeah, I think they'll be focusing quite a bit on defense in this offseason.
That's probably their entire draft, just like the Bears' entire draft is offense. Okay, I'm going to talk about my bets real quick before we get to the Super Bowl. I want to see your opinion on the bets. Before we get to that, got a shout out to the Patreon members. Appreciate you guys keeping the channel going here, guys. We're still 4 or 5 shows every single week. We're going to cover the Combine pretty hard. We're going to cover free agency and then a lot of NFL draft stuff in April. And then once that's over in May, boys, I'm going to be streaming every single best ball draft. We start in May for 2026 fantasy football. But beyond just supporting your boys here, access to the Discord community fantasy leagues. We have 2 spots open for the Dynasty League Story. Looking forward to that. Draft will be in May. Guest appearances on the podcast. You want to sit next to me and Story, in between me and Story. We would love to have you on the show. If you're a fanatic, you get to come on the show as a guest. Free merchandise giveaways. The shirts are coming soon, boys. I'll give you guys all the details. And then probably the biggest perk is access to my bets early. And also you're going to get Story with some college football plays next year. But I make all these usually on Tuesday and Wednesday when the player props. I only do player props. When those drop, and then you get access to those, the bet slips when I make them, so you can get the same exact odds. Otherwise, you can wait and get them on Saturday night. But at that point, the odds change so much. Anyway, Story, 3 bets this week for the Super Bowl. We are 95-56, by the way, on the season. 204-123 all-time even odds bets. We're making money. If you're interested in supporting the channel, professionalfanatics.com. The link for that is in the description. And I'll get you in the Discord as soon as you sign up. So, Ken Walker over 99.5 total yards. Last week we played Ken Walker under 115 total yards. That hit. He had 113, I believe it was. So 100 plus yards, total yards, minus 110. Hunter Henry over 37.5 receiving yards. And then the one that Story is going to probably grill me for is both quarterbacks 15 plus passing yards in each quarter. So Darnold and May to both have 15 plus passing yards in each quarter. That is plus 120. That's a FanDuel special. That is currently plus 100. So you can still get it at even.
Whoa. That's all the way down to what was it? What was it at? What did you get it at? 150? What'd you get it?
20 plus 120.
20. Okay, so it's down to 100. That's what you got. I thought it was higher than that. Anyway, yeah, I don't like the. Well, actually, I don't know. Because it's like it sounds like it should hit, right? But all those big game specials sound like they're pretty easy to hit. I don't like it when they put it right on the homepage.
You got to pick the spots.
Hunter Henry one, I love that one. I love that absolutely, and I hate Walker over 99.5 total yards. Hate it.
Really?
Yeah. The Patriots are really good at limiting the run.
That's right, but I feel like he had 50 yards receiving last game, so that could happen as well.
I don't know that 100 that's too high for me. So I love one, I'm neutral on one, and I hate one. How's that?
That sounds about right because they're all 50-50 propositions.
Yeah.
The Kenneth Walker thing here's the upside here is I know game script should be in his favor. It's going to be at the very least it's going to be like a one score game, and they're going to want to just run the rock, right? And I feel like he is the running back that just needs one big carry, right? He just needs a 40-yarder, 30-yarder in this game, and he will get that if he gets a 30, 40-yard play. So,
I mean, a lot of it depends because I fully expect the Patriots to blitz a lot in this game. They were very successful at blitzing, and they've had the highest, like 5 of their top 8 blitzing games have come over the last 5 games. So that, people think blitzing, stack boxes, that tends to lead to it stifles offensive production on the running game, but it depends. Like if you can get through there, now you don't have middle linebackers and safeties crashing down in order to limit those big runs. So it could happen, but you got to get past that first wave.
Yeah, and he's a tiny dancer. As you know, I've been a little critical of his dancing ability this year on the show. He's been running better though. He's been not dancing as much. The man has earned himself a massive paycheck. Story, massive paycheck.
Oh yeah, he's going to get paid. I wonder if he's going to come back to Seattle. If they're going to franchise tag him, if he's going to want to get guarantees that he's going to get red zone carries, like if he comes back to Seattle. I don't know. I don't know if you can talk about that. Do you? Do you want some unofficial bets from me? Some stuff that I'm going to be placing before I leave for Vegas?
Yeah, let's get it.
I know that's crazy to say, like, oh, I'm going to be placing bets before I leave for Vegas. But the fact is, it's a lot easier to do that now than it is when you're in Vegas because they only have like 3 or 4 apps and they don't have nearly the markets. If you want some of these props, you got to wait in line at the sports books. It's a bit of pain in the butt. So I've got 5, and then so Drake may to throw an interception, -135 on Circa. Ramondre Stevenson under 51.5 rushing yards, -110 on Circa. Walker, longest rush over 14.5 yards, -115 on Bet365. Jackson Smith and Jigba, anytime touchdown, -105 on Fanatics. And then first quarter total points even, bit of a fun one, -108 on FanDuel. And then a couple of honorable mentions, Rashid Shaheed to score the first touchdown, +2,000 at the score bet. JSN to win MVP and Stephon Diggs to win MVP, 550 and 5,000 respectively.
What is JSN down to?
To score a touchdown?
No, for the MVP.
550 on Fanatics. That's the highest I saw.
Man, I wish I had enlightened you to this one 2 weeks ago. So I bet JSN 18-1 to win MVP for the Super Bowl.
No, you didn't. 18-1?
Yeah. It was before the Rams game.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Well, that makes sense.
But 18-1, like, you know, I figured like the odds, I thought it'd be like 7-1 or something if they won. But that's crazy. That's crazy, dude. That's but I have one long shot that I love.
There's no value on, like, it's almost certainly going to be May or Darnold, maybe a defensive guy, or, you know, that's why, like, I think in Rashid, if he gets a return touchdown or two, maybe that +2,000. But it's almost going to be certainly one of the 2 quarterbacks. But the value sucks on both of them if you look at the odds.
Yeah, and there's a precedent though because Cooper Kupp won it with the Rams Super Bowl. And these quarterbacks, specifically Sam Darnold, comps to a guy that could, you know, he doesn't have the name recognition, and you need a guy. The receiver needs to get about 60% of the production, 50% of the production, and the touchdowns, right? So if Darnold throws for 245 and 2 touchdowns, but JSN has 130 and 2 touchdowns, that was the Cooper Kupp formula. And he's not the only one. There was another one somewhat recently. I forget who it was, but same kind of situation where if you get half the production and the touchdowns, which in this situation we've seen these games from JSN where he just gets both touchdowns. I mean, he pretty much had this game against the Seahawks, right? Or sorry, against the Rams.
He's going to have to accumulate 45% of the yards and score 2 touchdowns at a minimum to even be considered. So,
yeah.
And I mean, or you could do what Cooper Kupp did and do a really good job selling a phantom holding call inside the 5 zone.
I have a long shot that I like. I sprinkled it. It's I put $10 on it. It's Sam Darnold 50-1 for first touchdown score. He doesn't have a single rushing touchdown this season, but Super Bowl, like you could, I don't know. I know they run the ball a lot in the red zone these days, but without Charbonnet being there, 50-1 he's 35-1 in every other book. So I saw that. I bet 365. It is 50-1, and that's worth $10. Like I'm just saying, I feel like it shouldn't be 50-1. He's a quarterback that is somewhat mobile.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get the tush push. You're not going to get the quarterback sneak most likely because that's going to go to AJ Barner. That's a problem there. But
where did you see it?
It's bet 365. DraftKings and FanDuel, it's 35-1, which I don't hate either. But it requires, a second and goal from the 3, play action bootleg, something like that. 3rd and goal from the 5. Like I feel like he could do that. 50-1 is just a gift.
I took another 50-1 one. It's not this anymore on Bet 365 that I saw, and I scooped it up. I think it's 35-1 now. Is Travion Henderson to lead the game in rushing? And dude, like I get that he's probably not going to even come in consideration. But if Stevenson gets hurt, we've seen him rip off massive runs before. Like if he takes over this game and the Patriots bottle up Kenneth Walker, I don't know, 50-1. That's worth half a Stallbuck.
Yeah, because it requires an injury, but if the injury happens, it's almost like a 40% chance. It has to happen in the first quarter. But hey, stranger things have happened.
And is it wait, is a sawbuck 10 and it's double sawbuck is a 20? Is that I can't remember.
I have no idea. I'm not a fucking pioneer or farmer. All right, you got some other stuff for this game story. I want to get your game pick as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I mean, so how much depth do you want me to go in? Because I went pretty deep on some of the metrics. So I want
as much as you want to give the people, man.
Yeah. So we know that New England hasn't faced the best schedule this year. But again, you can only play the teams that are put in front of you. They've got a great point differential, however. They do rank a top 5 in pass rate over expected this year. They saw 3 more attempts per game in games where they were underdogs. So they're 4.5-point underdogs in this one. Seattle does have the best EPA per rush in the NFL. They're basically the best at stopping the run. Top 10 in rushing yards. Top in rushing yards over expected allowed. 5 teams finished with a positive rushing yards over expected. They've got the 8th best pass defense by EPA per dropback allowed. So a lot of this is meaning, Seattle's got a good defense. We know that already. So Drake May is probably going to drop back at a higher rate due to just the schematics and the game flow, right? 4.5-point underdog there, game script. More dropbacks, more scrambles for May. So I do think that his scrambling rate is going to be a little higher. Seattle generates pressure at the 4th highest rate in the league, despite blitzing the 4th lowest rate. Should see a lot of rushing yards, but he should also take a lot of sacks. They're going to try to throw a lot underneath, get the ball out quickly. May's a great deep ball passer, but he's not going to have as much time for deep plays this year. That's why I do love your Hunter Henry bet this week. I think it's going to really pop off because of the pressure rate. Seattle was top 5 in too high safety rate. That leaves a lot. That's a big gap there in the middle of the field there. They do throw to wide receivers at the 2nd lowest rate in the NFL also when teams face Seattle. So, again, Hunter Henry there. The blah, blah, blah. A lot of this is just talking about some of the metrics as it relates to the defense allowed. I do think Diggs is going to see a lot of action from the slot. Should move him around, a high target share. Running backs are going to get a lot of looks out of the backfield. Hunter Henry all over the middle of the field. So for New England, Seattle, very good at stopping the run. New England, top 5 team in pass rate over expected. Given the spread in the game script, I expect a pass-heavy approach with more underneath throws, lower A-dot throws, out of the backfield, tight end production. Expect May to scramble a lot and get pressured and sacked a lot. So that's just, if you're betting New England, this is information to be aware of. That's not my take. I got another whole thing on Seattle and their offense, but I want to get your thoughts on some of this stuff that I just put out there.
I think a big thing to pay attention to is, you mentioned the too high safety look. I could see Seattle with the fact that they could take out, with Christian Gonzalez. Sorry, not Christian Gonzalez. Sorry, I had a little brain fart there. The too high safety look you're talking about, I don't think they need to play it as much against this team because you just have Keyshawn Boutte is literally the only downfield threat, right? And they have not been playing Kyle Williams. So that's kind of a thing I want to look for is Kyle Williams has been on the field for like 8 or 9 snaps these last couple games. And he does something that no one else besides Boutte can do. And Demario Douglas is too small to get downfield. Stephon Diggs, that skill set waved bye-bye to him multiple years ago. So now Hunter Henry could do a little field stretching with up the seam. But other than that, like, how are they threatening the Seattle's defense down the field? I don't see it. So I think they might play more aggressive in this game than we usually see them.
Downfield, you mean? You think they're going to go deep ball? May's an incredible deep ball passer, but I worry just based on the success rate that teams have had against Seattle. Seattle is 11th in adjusted slot wide receiver target share. So I see a lot of production coming out of slot for this one, whether they motion Henry out to the slot from an inline position, they move Diggs into the slot, whatever it is. I think you're going to get a lot of stuff in the middle of the field.
And let's be honest, a lot of Seattle's defensive numbers are skewed just because the Rams had their number those 2 games, the last 2 games they played them. Other than that, no one shredded this Seahawks defense at all. The Rams did it the last 2 games. Puka did it the last 2 games. But how many, there's no Puka Nacua on this team. There's no one even close to that on this team.
No. I mean, arguably, is Diggs their best wide receiver? Like, his skill set kind of stops 20 yards downfield. Right? Like you mentioned, he's not capable of really generating much farther than that downfield.
Here, you know what? Thinking about it, Stephon Diggs could be a sneaky. I wonder what his longest reception is. I bet it's really low, like 10.5. I wouldn't mind hitting that over just because you saw Puka typically doesn't run downfield. Like he's been doing it more in the end of the year, but he definitely did it a lot against the Seahawks because I feel like they were just playing him for his typical, shallow curls and like little inline, in breaking routes where he would just take it upfield and there was only a single coverage on him. So maybe that might be a nice look is Stephon Diggs. I'm not betting him. He fucked me last week. It wasn't his fault. That game, the weather fucked that entire game for prop bets.
Yeah,
that was a mess.
You shouldn't be allowed to throw for fewer than 100 yards and be playing in the Super Bowl. That doesn't jive with today's NFL. I don't like it.
Diggs had 5 catches for 17 yards. Like, that's bad if you're a running back. That's 5 carries for 17 yards is not good. 5 catches for 17 yards is unfucking heard of.
That's such a low yard per reception. It's incredible that.
So,
Denver.
Let me ask you this: do you think this is a neutral matchup? Take away how good Seattle's defense is, just in terms of like the X's and O's of the Patriots offense matching up against this specific Seattle defense schematically. You think it's a neutral matchup because of some of the things that Drake May can do with his legs, or do you think this is a bad matchup?
I think it's a negative matchup for New England, but I don't think it's a overwhelmingly negative matchup, and the spread is indicative of that. Like I said, I mentioned that I expect Drake May to be under pressure more, scramble more. We've seen him scramble in the past. They don't utilize play action as much as I would like, and that's probably good in this scenario where getting the ball out quick is going to be necessary. So I still think it's a negative matchup, but it's not a huge, there's a reason it's not a 7-point spread.
Yeah. Give me your, the other side of the coin there.
Okay. So Seattle, if you're looking at the offense for Seattle, they've been very run heavy this year. Obviously, Mike, from a pass rate over expected, they're third lowest behind Baltimore and the Jets love establishing the run, but they are bottom 10 in success rate and EPA per rush. So they're not really that efficient running the ball. I found that to be interesting. Patriots allowed nearly twice as many rushing yards per game while Milton Williams was out with injury. So this is very notable. It was out from weeks 11 through 17, came back for the playoffs, and they allowed half as many rushing yards while he's back in the lineup. He also allows the Patriots not have to stack the box as much. Kenneth Walker has been a bottom 10 in rushing yards over expected against both neutral and light box formations. And I talked about that previously, like when you've got stacked boxes, why that opens things up for a running back like Kenneth Walker. New England should not have to stack the box against Seattle to stop their rushing attack. I think this game's going to come down to Sam Darnold. And I know a lot of people say that. He hasn't turned back into a pumpkin, but Seattle was 8th best in EPA per dropback this year, while New England was 9th best in allowed on defense. So it's strength versus strength there. Seattle was first in percentage of yards created through play action plays this year. New England was average in defending play action, but they're first in QB pressure rate when facing play action passes. I'm talked about the blitz rate already. They're going to blitz a lot. Shouldn't allow New England to get to Sam Darnold. That can create some sacks and turnovers. May follow. That's generally how it goes. Seattle's been a bottom 10 EPA per dropback when pressured. If they can get to Darnold, I think Seattle's passing attack can take advantage of over the top with some big plays. So that means bringing more guys, leaving things up over the top for Darnold, for Jackson Smith-Njigba. He's going to get his, even with Christian Gonzalez in coverage. Team wide receiver one's been fine against New England, and JSN is always Darnold's first read. AJ Barner should have a sneaky good game too, as New England is 6th in adjusted target share allowed to tight ends. So New England has an advantage of stopping the Seattle rushing attack, but Seattle can counter with volume on the ground and leveraging play action, which I mentioned is Kubiak's staple. Look for New England to blitz early and often, making a higher variance passing attack for Seattle. They're going to want to try to rattle Sam Darnold. They're going to force him to play well to win this game. It's going to come down to Sam Darnold not seeing ghosts and doing what he's been doing all year. He's going to need to be able to read the blitz, escape pressure, and throw on the run and get passes out early. So I mentioned Rashid Shaheed for his touchdown. That New England blitzing a lot leaves softer coverage downfield, and you get the benefit of a potential return touchdown. That's why I kind of like him for a first touchdown play there. But there you go. That's Seattle for you.
A couple thoughts that I want to run by you here for this specific matchup. So Christian Gonzalez, who does he? You can't shadow JSN. He's a one guy that is like unshadowable, if that's a word. I don't think it's a word, but you can't shadow the guy because he's lining up in the backfield. He's always in motion. Maybe 40% of the time he might see Christian Gonzalez, but they're going to specifically scheme it to where he is not on Gonzalez. Now, what you can do is you could double JSN and then put him on Shaheed, right? Or put him on Cooper Kupp and take out the safety blanket there. That's an interesting matchup to watch there because I just don't know. It's almost like taking away the effectiveness of Christian Gonzalez if he doesn't have an alpha to guard. a traditional Justin Jefferson type guy to guard. And I don't know how that's going to play out because Chris Gonzalez is playing some great ball. And you saw him with a sack, dude. He's all over the place, man. And shout out to Christian Gonzalez, big fan of his. And he's playing out. And the Sam Darnold point about worrying about him, and this is why I'm not as worried about Sam Darnold, is I said it going into the Rams game. That was their Super Bowl, right? Division rival, two of the best games all year against each other. They knew each other so well. The Rams were probably the best team in football if it wasn't Seattle this year. And that was the game, the monkey off his back, if you want to say that, because, in the previous big games last year against Detroit, week 18, played awful. Could have had the 1 seed and then played terrible in the playoff game. And then ending the season, he didn't play great. They beat the 49ers there to get the bye, but that wasn't because of Sam Darnold. He did not play great. He hadn't played great really since week 12. So this was the lifting the weight off his shoulders game against the Rams. So I feel like he's going to go out there playing pretty free and easy. And I could be wrong, but I know the pressure can get everyone. But he already has accomplished so much this year, where it's kind of house money for Sam Darnold. Obviously you want to come away with the championship, but kind of house money for Sam Darnold at this point. And I think they also know they're the better team.
Yeah. I mean, you would ask anybody in New England, they say they're the better team. They're being underrated as the underdogs there, while Seattle's the overdog, to quote Tony Romo.
That's Tony Romo, yeah.
I get it. I see where you're coming from. That's kind of why I have some not worries about New England, I guess, but some. I mean, yeah, they're a 4-point dog, and they're a 4-point dog, despite the fact that they had an incredible record this year and just kind of cakewalk through the playoffs.
MVP says, I'm not ready for a New England dynasty again. Could this have the makings of a Dan Marino situation for you, where Dan Marino, I know this isn't Drake May's rookie season, but Dan Marino went to the Super Bowl his rookie year, epic year, lost, never made it back. So this isn't I'm not trying to be negative on the Patriots, and definitely not trying to be negative on Drake May, because I love Drake May. But I just want to go through the AFC, and the NFC is far weaker as a conference. This year it was better in terms of high-end teams, but in terms of quarterbacks, right, young quarterbacks, franchise quarterbacks, AFC is littered with these quarterbacks in these situations. So this is kind of my take on this. Could be a Dan Marino situation where it's like, you better win it when you're there, because you don't know if you're ever getting back. And we saw it with Dan Marino. So you have Josh Allen, which I know the Bills are a mess right now, but Josh Allen is enough to lift any team. You have Bo Nix paired with a good head coach in Sean Payton. He's not the best head coach, but he's a good head coach. You have Justin Herbert paired with a great head coach. You have Patrick Mahomes, okay, paired with a good head coach. You're going to have the Raiders now with Mendoza, who is, this possible generational player. You have Baltimore with Lamar Jackson. You have Cincinnati with Joe Burrow still. You have Jacksonville now, which with Liam Cohen and now Trevor Lawrence, who's still, 26 years old. That's a dangerous spot there. And then Tennessee, with what they're doing, Cam Ward was the number 1 overall pick. I'm just saying, all these young quarterbacks in pretty favorable situations, where if you go over to the NFC, you have Dak Prescott and Jalen Hurts. Matt Stafford's 38 years old. You don't have that level of play.
Let's break it down. I mean, Detroit's always going to be, because they got a great head coach, they're always going to be in the mix. Now you got Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson. So there's 2 in the North right there. Jackson Dart is an up-and-comer. Jaden Daniels is an up-and-comer. You still got Dak Prescott there. Who's the 4th team in the East? And Jalen Hurts, right? In the South, Baker Mayfield's not going anywhere, right? Bryce Young could take a step forward there.
These aren't the names I was naming. Justin Herbert is so much better than Justin Herbert's just so much younger than Dak Prescott, right? I would put those two both guys that struggle in the playoffs, but Justin Herbert is 6 years younger than Dak.
At what point are we going to stop making excuses for Justin Herbert, though? The dude's been.
This isn't a Justin Herbert argument, but you have the high end guys: Lamar, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. These are the guys. Joe Burrow. Those are 4 of the top 6 quarterbacks in the NFL.
But I think it's just as deep, if not deeper, in the NFC. So
really.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like there's just more questions in the NFC. There's more question marks, right? And what ifs. There's not as many what ifs in the NFC.
You got Atlanta, New Orleans, right? Arizona. So there's tons of question marks, but I get your argument. The top heavy is certainly the AFC. I will agree with that.
And it's the youth. It's the youth. These guys are all. The NFC has their best quarterbacks are generally older. I put Dak up there in the NFC, definitely long in the tooth. Matt Stafford has 1 or 2 prime years left. Like, those are the top 2 in my mind in the NFC. Jaden Daniels hasn't proven shit yet. As much as we love Caleb Williams, like, he's right there with Drake May, for instance. We're like, the AFC, man, you have some heavyweights, dude. Some heavyweights. And again, I am not, we didn't mention Indianapolis. We don't know who their quarterback is, but like, Indianapolis has a good team. We just saw them, weren't they 8-2 to start the year? Like, they obviously have a good enough team.
The last 5 games or something like that. So
right, but they obviously had enough talent to be 8-2. Like, that's something. Like, they compare them to I would compare them to a team like the Falcons. Right, the Falcons ended strong and the Colts started strong, but like, I think the Falcons probably have a better roster. But I actually think that their coaching staff and their offensive line and their infrastructure is better than what Atlanta has.
Yeah, I mean, Atlanta's running into a quarterback situation problem of their own. Plus, I kind of surprised that they're even talking about letting Pitts go and not franchise tagging him. I think you want as many weapons as possible there for Michael Penix, don't you?
Dude, I'm not even sure. Like, if I'm a front office person in Atlanta, I'm a fan of Atlanta. Like, am I comfortable with Michael Penix being our franchise quarterback? What has he shown us on the field? Not much. What has he shown us the history of his career in college? That he gets hurt every other year with a major injury. I mean, how many more major injuries can this guy have? He's also old, bro. How old is Michael Penix? 26, 27? He has 2 years of experience. It's like, I think Michael Penix might be older than fucking Trevor Lawrence, bro. He's 25?
He's 25.
When does he turn 26?
May. Be 26.
And Trevor Lawrence is, I believe, 26 right now. Yeah, Trevor Lawrence turns 27 in October, dude.
Yeah,
so he's 1 year.
He's 27.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, think of all the NFL experience these guys have. Michael Penix has started 12 games in the NFL. He started 4 games his rookie year. Or no, it was 2 games his rookie year, and he started 10 games this year. So that's not good. I don't know. Like, are you comfortable with Michael Penix as your starting quarterback and like your only guy? Because they must be.
No, not whatsoever. But what are you're gonna build through the draft again? Like, you literally just drafted this guy 2 years ago in the top 10. So I would expect them to find a really good backup, like Malik Willis. Right? Somebody that can come in, and if Michael Penix gets hurt again, that can carry this team. Because, my God, Kirk Cousins is certainly not the answer there. They need somebody in that backup position.
I got a question for you. Kyler Murray. We don't like Kyler Murray on the show.
I don't want to talk about Kyler Murray. Is this Kyler Murray related?
Yeah. No, if you were the Falcons right now, would you trade Michael Penix for Kyler Murray?
Kyler Murray, age 28.
Dude, Kyler Murray's only 28. It's wild.
Yep. I
think I would do it. I think I would do it. I know the contracts aren't going to match up, but I think I would do it.
I don't think so. I mean, are you asking me if, like, I'm a GM, or are you asking me as, like, what player do I actually want to carry my franchise? Because there's a difference there. Because GMs have to deal with politics and fans and head coaching egos and et cetera, et cetera. So if I'm the GM, no, I wouldn't do it. We invested in Michael Penix. That is the direction that we're going forward. If I am making this decision based on purely which guy would I rather have helm the franchise as the quarterback, then yeah, it's probably Michael or Kyler Murray.
Because the Cardinals will do it because if they don't get a good suitor or they don't get what they want, they're just going to release Kyler Murray. I guess the only chance would be if this new regime actually likes Kyler Murray, but I feel like Kyler Murray is the type of dude where you don't want a pouty. You don't want Kyler Murray in as your franchise quarterback. Period. You definitely don't want a pouty Kyler Murray because we see the guy's work ethic already sucks. You think he's going to work harder if they retain him and have him as their starting quarterback? I don't think so. So I'm just saying, Kyler, like the Falcons kind of have a win now roster, and Michael Penix is just not experienced enough. His injury history is just unreal, and he's probably not going to be back to start the year next year. So you're punting next year. If you roll with Michael Penix and Kirk Cousins is just done, they're probably going to release him anyway. If you're rolling with Michael Penix and you don't get a Malik Willis, and I feel like Malik Willis is going to want to be a starter somewhere, and you get, let's just say it's Jacoby Brissett, right? Let's just they get Jacoby Brissett as their bridge quarterback to start the year and see what happens with Penix. You're not competing next year with Michael Penix with the lack of experience and then coming off an injury. I think there's a chance this team with Kyler Murray could compete because we've seen the Cardinals compete with Kyler Murray. let's not forget they were 7-1, and Kyler Murray was a front runner for MVP. I know this was 4 years ago, but just say we again, I hate Kyler Murray. I think he's bad, but like we have seen Kyler Murray play pretty elite football in the past, and he's not old. He does have one ACL injury. I get that, but the fact that he's 28 is crazy, bro.
Yeah,
you know, and like, isn't there a chance that he has something to prove? I know it's tough because it's Kyler Murray to say like he's got something to prove, but like he could come back. The guy is an elite athlete. He just happens to be 5'8".
Well, I mean, at some point, like Father Time's going to start sapping that elite athleticism, and I get worried about that, especially a quarterback as short as Kyler Murray is. I don't. Maybe it's just correlation, but there's certainly something to these quarterbacks that have a difficult time seeing over their line. Now, I will say the good thing for Kyler Murray, for whatever franchise ends up with Kyler Murray, is there's no Call of Duty Black Ops 8 being released next year. So at the very least, you get one unencumbered year.
Dude, if they could only like have an NFL team in like Haiti or something where there's no internet, like Kyler Murray. Now, here's the thing. Kyler Murray, we just did Tropic Thunder, right? Where he got Tugs his TiVo delivered. Like, yeah. Kyler Murray's agent would be taking a helicopter down there with an Xbox and like a fucking some type of Wi-Fi system. But the video game thing has to stop, man. I love video games. You love video games. Your NFL career is very finite, and like Kyler, put in some work, because as of right now, if this continues on this downward trend, Kyler Murray is going to be thought of as a pretty major bust at number 1. Definitely a bust.
I mean, it completely depends on your definition of bust. He's already not a bust. Like the production that he's had in Arizona is so like a bust. You need to bust out hard in order to be considered a bust. But he was the number 1 overall pick. He gave up baseball to play in this league. He's got something to prove. Now, I'm facetious with the video game thing, but again, these players are human, and if things start distracting them, for example, George Pickens, things can go south in a hurry. So, yeah, I mean, the fact that they put a rider in his contract about, I don't know, maybe this is all rumor. It wasn't true, but some rumor about like needing X amount of hours of film study, et cetera, et cetera. It worries me about Kyler Murray.
It definitely does. And when I mentioned the bus thing, real quick, MVP says, is there a deep dive Monday or is it a Super Bowl recovery day? I don't take any days off MVP, so I will most definitely be doing one. I'll also be doing a recap show later. I'm going to be in Indiana for the game. So that's an hour and 40 minutes from my house. So I'll be doing a recap show probably with Big Ray or somebody at like 11 p.m. Probably 11 p.m. Central. So don't worry about that. Also, we're doing a show on Saturday with Nick O, the return of the Nick O face for the show. But one more thought on Kyler Murray. When I call him a bust, like you said, he's most certainly not a bust because he's had some pretty good success in the NFL. Where I'm saying it's more of a disappointment, right? Where it's like, you don't care if your parents are mad at you. You don't want them to be disappointed in you. That's worse. And we're disappointed in Kyler Murray because not many guys come out, definitely not number 1 picks, right? Because it's usually really rough early on because they go to a really bad franchise. There's not a lot around them, and they don't elevate anyone for years. Kyler Murray, year 2, elevated this team to the playoffs, bro. And the fact that his trajectory has pointed down, for me, it points to lack of dedication, lack of leadership, lack of work, right? That's the problem, right? Where like, how do you get worse as a quarterback? You hear Tom Brady talk about all the time is that there's that point where your physical abilities decline, but you actually still are the same, if not better player, because all the mental capacity you're playing chess. Everyone else is playing checkers, right? And Kyler Murray he's never going to be that guy, but it's apparent that he's still playing he's still playing checkers, and he's in his 6th year. Like that's not how it's supposed to be as a quarterback. You should visualize all these situations, all the film room time, all that stuff. I get he hasn't had the best coordinator since Cliff Kingsbury left. It's been pretty rough there at OC and head coach, but something has to happen.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a rotating cast of head coaches and offensive coordinators. I can't say his agent's doing him any favors, and he's been kind of saddled with injury a little bit the last few years. I don't know if that's had anything to do with it as well. Like mentally, I mean, we saw what happened with Bucky Irving. Like that can wear on a person too. So I don't know if there's a mental component to that as well as the injuries. Like if the injuries keep piling up, it's going to sap his athleticism. And so his escapability, his ability to scramble and let plays develop downfield, like that's going to be less and less as he continues to age.
Yeah, and they short quarterback. I mean, you saw it with Russell Wilson, and that was a little later. Obviously, Russell was, I think, 34 when he was traded to Denver, right? And it was already over for him at 33. And the height thing really does limit. Now, Drew Brees is a different case because Drew Brees is an all-time tactician, right? Drew Brees beats you with his mind. And also he was paired with Sean Payton. I know you hate Sean Payton, but Sean Payton, that was a great marriage. I hate bringing this up. MVP says, I'd trade 9 for Murray, to be honest. What do you think about that? Because I don't like the marriage with Kevin O'Connell.
I never thought he was a first-round pick coming out of college. And I feel like they got enamored with him as not even a compiler, but like a guy that just was there for a Michigan team that was set up huge success. Let's not crown John Harbaugh as the end all be all, because there certainly was some recruiting under the table recruiting tactics there. But I never thought I didn't think he had a first round grade. And so the fact that he was now he's young, so he does have that another year from injury. He should improve. He should continue to mentally improve. Would I trade J.J. McCarthy for Kyler Murray straight up? Again, as a GM, no, because there's politics involved. But if I want, which guy do I want for the future of the franchise? Yeah, it's Kyler Murray. That one's easier to me than who's the other guy that you mentioned?
It was Michael Penix.
Michael Penix. Yeah, that one's easier to me.
Yeah, the weird thing about J.J. McCarthy is he was drafted. The number one thing that we were sold on J.J. McCarthy was his leadership, right? But I don't like taking a first-round quarterback because of leadership. What the fuck are we talking about? How about ability? And also, do we know that J.J. McCarthy is a good leader? He doesn't seem like it to me.
No, I mean, again, there are certainly intangibles, but like Moneyball is one of my favorite movies, and the way they divorce emotions and feelings in order to make statistical evaluations of players based on the thing that the performance they've had on the field, like that to me is far more important than the intangibles of leadership and getting to the facility early and takes care of his diet, et cetera, et cetera. Like if you're a top tier, outstanding level player, that kind of stuff falls in line. I want the production on the field first. And that's why when I'm evaluating wide receivers, looking at college wide receivers, what I'm looking for is top tier production. Doesn't have to be across the entire spectrum of the 3 or 4 years, but I want a season where they dominated the production on the field. They dominated they were far and above better than the other receivers. So when a guy like Isaiah Bond wows people because he ran a 4.2 at the combine, that doesn't do it for me when I know what he did at Texas.
Remember the conversation in the Moneyball room where the old guy's like, well, he's got an ugly girlfriend. He's got no confidence. Like, or the other guy's like, yeah, he's really good looking. Like he commands a room. Like that's old baseball talk though. Is what it was, man. That's how they evaluated these players.
Guys, I'm going to point to Pete. That's a great movie.
Gets on base.
He walks a lot. You do not.
The another good comparison is the Curb episode when Larry fires his lawyer because he's got a fucking really good looking girlfriend or wife and he's nasty, and then he wants to do the investment deal with the inventor because the inventor is really smart and really handsome and his wife's like a 2. He's like, I trust this guy because his wife's gross, but if you're a gross guy and your wife's really hot, I don't trust you. That's such a Larry David thing. Here's my thing with the Kyler Murray thing. In a vacuum, I'm definitely doing Kyler Murray for J.J. McCarthy. I don't think that Kyler Murray fits Kevin O'Connell at all. I don't think he wants anything to do with a player like this. He wants an on-time passer. That's why they drafted J.J. McCarthy. That's why we saw guys like Nick Mullins have success in this offense because they're quick processors, right? Kyler Murray, not a good processor. Really, really short, not a good pocket quarterback. So, like, Kevin O'Connell is good enough where you would think that he could adapt his offense for Kyler Murray, right? But he didn't adapt his offense for J.J. McCarthy, or is the answer J.J. McCarthy is so bad you couldn't adapt anything for him?
I mean, if somebody is like, who are modern day quarterback whisperers? Sean McVay, Liam Cohen, Kevin O'Connell was in that mold, and you're right. There are pocket passers, guys that have had production under that system, guys that thrive on precision and timing and going through the reads. You hear about some of the guys from Kevin O'Connell's system. It requires a lot of patience. Kyler Murray doesn't have a lot of patience there. So I tend to agree that who would be like, where would you find a good fit? Like Todd Monken's offense, probably a good fit, right? Look at what he did in Baltimore with Lamar Jackson. Like there's tons of things that allow for plays to break down and allow receivers to, secondary routes that create open receivers. Maybe there's a good fit there.
Jeffrey, I'm gonna get to your comments here in 1 second. Did you hear the Todd Monken inaugural press conference? That's the first time I ever heard Todd Monken talk. Did you hear him talk?
No.
Dude, he sounds exactly like Funkhauser from Curb.
No way. Does he really?
Dude, I was like, I had it on, right? I had something on YouTube, and I was doing something. I think I was doing wide receiver evaluations for the 2026 draft, and I was half watching, and I just heard the voice. I was like, is this Curb? Like, you got to play it. It's hilarious, bro. Just that press conference alone. I don't know if his voice was very hoarse, but pretty awesome there. And you gotta look this up. Jeffrey says Kyler Murray injuries really hurt his career because he lost some athleticism and put on some weight. 4 years ago, Kyler Murray's definitely put on some weight. Would you agree? He's pretty fat there around the waist now.
Hang on,
Kyler Murray was pretty small.
I gotta listen to this.
Oh, he's gotta listen to Tom Monken. Yeah, he's definitely put on some weight. And my question is Kyler Murray, is he Asian? You hear this?
School. There's only 100 of you in the whole world.
Funkhauser, bro. It's Funkhauser. I know. It's Funkhauser.
That's crazy.
Hey, it's Kyler Murray. Is he half black, half Asian? What is his
What do I look like? 23andMe? I don't know what he is.
I don't know. He's something.
Very cute.
Oh,
What's his name?
It's Kwame.
It's Kwame. Kwame. Mm-hmm. Nice name. Nice name.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's a little light for Kwame, no?
What?
A lot of names to pick, but it was a little darker, maybe.
Yeah, can you go?
That's very scary.
You need to get out.
Hey, any of you guys want ginger ale?
Here, get the fuck out.
Haven't had that one in a while.
Kyler Murray to the Browns, man, and then Todd Monken can run the Lamar Jackson offense. What do you think about that?
I think that would be a pretty, but I don't know. You've got to supplant Pro Bowler Shedeur Sanders there, and it's going to be tough to do.
2 comments on that, man. I'm a little worried about Kyler Murray going to a division like that with all outdoor games and really shitty weather. I want Kyler Murray playing in warm weather stadiums and in a dome because he doesn't have the arm strength anymore. And I don't know if he could take the beating like Lamar does running. Now, Lamar doesn't take a beating because he knows how to get down. Kyler Murray is not a good slider, even though he played baseball. But did you see the Pro Bowl at all, Storey?
Dude, so my wife was asking me, like, are we going to watch Pro Bowl on Sunday? I'm like, no. But I didn't realize it was on Tuesday. And then
Tuesday,
I'm like,
yeah.
Well, it's on Tuesday. I'm like, not doing anything. I'll throw it on. I completely forgot about it. Like, I was watching TV. I didn't do shit on Tuesday, and I completely forgot the Pro Bowl was on. I don't feel bad about it at all.
It was awful. So I watched like the 14-minute like highlight video on YouTube, just like doing something else, but I saw it. Shedeur Sanders' first pass was a pick 6 in a fucking in a flag football game. You can't make that shit up, bro. It was a pick 6. I'm not fucking with you. So funny.
That's absolutely bananas.
That's really bad. That's really bad.
I would rather watch like the top Madden players from each league play each other than watch that. Then watch and like you got the guys sitting there, right, and like background of players watching them, and then you got the thing on screen. I would rather watch that a full length of that than I would rather watch the Pro Bowl.
The one cool thing was you had players playing both ways, and Jamar Chase had an epic one-handed pick, which that was cool. But like other than that, like that's the only thing that was like kind of cool because it's different than real football. But like it's been bad forever. It's the worst of all the All-Star games, and that's saying a lot because they're all pretty bad. But it's by far the worst.
The best by far is MLB
baseball.
Yeah. And then not right behind, but behind that is NHL because they do the Atlantic versus Central and the Pacific versus whatever, and then they play 3 shorter games or matches, whatever they call them in hockey. Yeah, and then basketball is horrendous, and then baseball's below that. So whatever below horrendous is, or not baseball, and then football is below that.
The NBA should be, in theory, the best because if they actually tried, it'd be the best in the world because you don't get these kind of athletes all, those 10 players on the floor at the same time is unreal. Now, the NBA All-Star game used to be amazing back when people played. You had the Jordan era. Like if Jordan's on the floor, he's making sure his teammates ain't fucking dogging it, bro. But unfortunately, that era has waved bye-bye to us. So Kyler Murray to the Browns, I like.
The NFL All-Star game used to be good, not great, but good. Used to have some big hits in there, and then obviously they don't want to get hurt. There was one year about 10 years ago that J.J. Watt came in and he's like, you know what? I'm going to the scores have been in the 90s. He's like, I'm going to come in and absolutely wreck the day. And I think the final score of that was like 23-20 or something like that. That was one good one.
Shout out to Pete Rose for ending that. I forget the catcher's name. He ended the catcher's career in it was like 1976 All-Star game. He barreled into the catcher. Like it was in the 9th inning, but like that's such a Pete Rose thing to do. Like again, remember the Seinfeld thing where George takes out Bette Midler? That was essentially like that play, and he not only injured the catcher. No, like he was never the same after that. He fucked his shoulder up. I don't know what he did. He like destroyed the dude's shoulder, and it's such a Pete Rose moment of like Charlie Hustle.
I messed up my freshman year gym teacher's knee playing softball. So we go outside to play softball, and she's like a woman in her 50s or whatever, lesbian. Not that matters, but so you can kind of get a sense of who this woman is.
She should have been able to handle it then.
And I managed to get on second base, and somebody rips one out there. And I'm super competitive. I've been competitive since I was younger. So I'm ripping around third base, and about 2/3 of the way, I realized this is not going to go well because she was playing catcher. And so I try pulling up about 3/4 of the way, and I cannot stop myself. I end up like a Kyler Murray slide where it goes like from vertical to horizontal. But my feet go out, and they basically whip out her legs from out underneath her, and she lands on her knee. She was face down on the ground for like a good 5 minutes. They go get the other gym teacher across the way. She ends up getting up. I don't think we did any damage, but I felt
she
bad.
should have been standing there. I mean, she should have been standing there.
Well, what are you doing?
Matt Jones to the Vikings. That's ideal. That's the ideal fit. Would you agree for the Kevin O'Connell offense?
Dude, Matt Jones is a baller, and he's like a 4/5 version of JJ McCarthy in terms of like intensity. So tone down the intensity a little bit, bump up the accuracy. Sure, works for me.
Yeah. Team Money says Tyler Shuck. Do you think Tyler Shuck could be the Saints' next Drew Brees?
I was not a fan of Tyler Shuck when he came out. A lot of it had to do with his age, but he has proven that he is a competitor. And I mean, a lot of it has to do with the coach there, obviously. But I'm impressed with Tyler Shuck. Is he the future there? Probably for the next, as long as his rookie contract. But it's good to see that the Saints will start to be competitive again because they have been languishing at the doldrums of the NFC South since Drew Brees left.
And we know one thing: the Saints have a great culture. They have a great fan base. They're thirsty, bro. They need it. Like they have legitimate fans everywhere. I went in New Orleans and I was there. These fuckers rep the Saints. They love the Saints, and even with how bad it's been, they love the Saints. And one last thought about these fifth year quarterbacks. I think Tyler Shuck might have been a 6th-year quarterback, right? 6 years in college.
6 years, yeah.
And Spencer Rattler was another one of these guys. Bo Nix was one of these guys. They're usually very high floor, low ceiling prospects, where JJ McCarthy is just low floor. Like you know what I mean? Like think about it. JJ McCarthy is how old is McCarthy? 21 right now.
Yeah.
Like so, you gotta think Tyler Shuck was 3 years older than him, right? Coming into this year, maybe 4 years. Was Tyler Shuck 25? So he was 4 years older than.
I don't know. Hang on.
So you got to think 4 years, dude. He had 4 years of experience, 4 years of age, 4 years of maturity. Like, not to say JJ McCarthy's ruined, but McCarthy was a really young prospect, like, and not a lot of experience. Even the games he played, Storey, he was attempting 12 passes, bro.
Yeah, they're 3 year age difference between them.
That's a big deal. That's a big deal. So I think going forward, we need to understand that. I don't mind for specific situations. I don't mind taking obviously Bo Nix is an outlier because their team is dominating, but even Spencer Rattler, he's a pro ready quarterback and he's not going to be great, but it's not going to be a JJ McCarthy, right? Where it's just like the world's on fire, the world's falling. Your team is just, you can't even operate a normal offense with JJ McCarthy.
Yeah. They did string together some wins to close out the year. I think they had 4 or 5 wins in a row and he looked better. So I'm hopeful that he could make some incremental improvements and that with a full off season of health under him this year that we see because I don't want the guy to fail. I don't think he's a great quarterback, but I don't want him to fail. We need more starting quarterbacks in the league. I can't go through another season of guys throwing for 50 passing yards and a half. I can't do it. It's bad for my mental health. We need guys to perform. Like we need Justin Jefferson back at peak Justin Jefferson, right? We need the Vikings running game that's been a staple of the NFC North for years. God, I just hope that Kevin O'Connell can help him improve.
Richardson, good comment from Jeffrey. Richardson's a great example. The guy didn't play much. He was 20. Was he 20 when he was drafted? 21. No. I think he was 20 because he's only 23 right now. Storey. He's played 3 years, dude. This is going to be his 4th year. Richardson's 4th year, and he's only 23. So I still have hope for Anthony Richardson, man. I still have big hope for Anthony Richardson. His age. The biggest question is health concerns, right? The guy just can't stay healthy, and his body type is huge. He shouldn't be getting hurt.
I think you have to discount the orbital fracture because that's just a freak accident. But does it speak to a bigger thing about not being careful?
No, I'm talking the shoulder injuries, the concussion, like
shoulder
he
injuries.
Doesn't know how to fall.
Like the labrum stuff,
you know what I mean?
that's worrisome. Like there's a high incidence of recidivism with shoulder injuries if it's not like if it doesn't heal properly.
Well, remember, God, who the hell is why can't I think of his name? Who was the Chargers receiver? Mike Williams, right? How he just didn't know how to fall, and he'd always just go up for balls and just fall on his fucking head and his neck and his shoulder. Where like certain guys know how to fall. Like JSN, I could bet you if he's like a cat. If JSN gets knocked out, loses his balance in the air, he's gonna fall on his feet or on like his square on his back. Like where I feel like when Anthony Richardson gets tackled, it just doesn't look right, and he's huge. But I still have hope for Anthony Richardson. Do you have hope for Anthony Richardson?
No. 1 year in Florida, he looked great, but again, like the production didn't back up what the athleticism and the metrics say. Like this to me feels like a team that got enamored with the elite athlete without thinking about the fundamentals. I don't think the fundamentals are there. I don't think he can develop them to the point that he's a starting quarterback in the NFL.
I think he can because Josh Allen, yes, he was definitely not as raw as Anthony Richardson coming out because nothing is as raw as that. That's the rawest thing ever. Josh Allen, look where he's at now, right? Anthony Richardson could get, if he can just get to 70% of Josh Allen in terms of revamping his throwing mechanics and all that kind of stuff and fix his head stuff, he is a better prospect physically than Josh Allen. Anthony Richardson's an elite 1-of-1 prospect. He really is.
Yeah. Okay. Again, like
he is, bro. I mean, come on. Some of the throws we've seen him make, these aren't hypothetical. This isn't, Zach Wilson making that awesome throw in his pro day. We saw Anthony Richardson have 2 or 3 of the best plays in the entire NFL season. Remember the throw week 1? That was the second year in the league, that throw to Alec Pierce, 4 yards on a rope, like getting tackled off his back foot. I'm saying like the talent is there. He's super fast. He's super big, super raw. I still have hope. And this kind of goes back to the Kyler Murray thing. This is why I'm so disappointed in Kyler Murray, is because Kyler Murray was another one of these really, really young quarterbacks coming out. Story. He was 21 his rookie year.
Yeah.
And by 22, he had a Pro Bowl year.
Dude, you're falling into anchoring bias. Like what Anthony Richardson is not who he is. Right. So what we saw at Florida in that last year and what we saw his rookie year, that's not who the guy is. The guy can't get on the field. Like in an NFL team that spent incredible draft capital for an unproven asset, like they're not willing to put him on the field. What does that tell you? Like I'm not willing to anchor myself to what Anthony Richardson was or what Josh Allen has become, because that is a what do you call it?
I get it. That's a leap.
That's a false equivalency. Like just because there's a 1-of-1 in Josh Allen does not mean that this guy can get there as well.
Jeff says, to think about it, Justin Fields could be the dark horse for the Browns. Todd Monken could work well with him. That's another example of the potential, right? Justin Fields has the potential. He has the arm strength. He has the mobility, but it just, if you can't, this is the anti-Anthony Richardson take, right? Because Justin Fields is definitely more polished than Richardson coming out of college, had a little bit of success in the NFL, but it's over for Justin Fields. As much, we're both Justin Fields guys, but it's over for Justin Fields. Did you agree?
Oh, it's over for Justin Fields. It was over in week 2. Like as much as we didn't want to admit it, it was over in week 2.
MVP will look back and watch the Shador pick. He said, I don't know if I could blame Shador for that pick. It was a little in front of Chase, but it did go right through his hands. Yeah, the joke was it was a pick six. I know it wasn't like a atrocious pick six because it's a flag football game with no pads and no pass rush, but it still was a pick six. It's just a funny statement to make is that Shedeur Sanders, I think it was his first pass too, which is just hilarious. I have a question for you. Would you rather have, so we're not Shedeur Sanders fans, right?
No.
I know Shedeur Sanders is better, is ready for the NFL. Like next year, you'd feel more comfortable with Shedeur being your starting quarterback than Anthony Richardson. But you're not winning shit next year with Shedeur Sanders. You're not either way. The Browns aren't winning shit. But would you rather have Anthony Richardson or Shedeur Sanders right now on your team?
Shedeur Sanders
and your franchise. Really?
Yeah.
No way. There's no upside in Shedeur.
I
don't think so.
There's no upside with Anthony Richardson. The dude.
There's upside. There's upside.
I don't see that. I don't see it. I never saw it. Like, what was Anthony Richardson's best game? His best game in college.
Oh, I don't care about college. I've seen him succeed in the pros.
What's his? I'm gonna pull up his game log because I cannot believe that you're still.
Why am I the Anthony? I'm an Anthony Richardson pro now.
Okay, I hope you draft.
Jeffrey says Anthony Richardson could also consider moving positions. Who would be better at moving positions? So Justin Fields or Richardson? Who has more potential? Because Richardson's bigger.
Yeah, Richardson's bigger, but in terms of like the ability to create downfield separation, I would give it to Justin Fields. The guy's shifty and he's fast.
I was more thinking of like the Taysom Hill role, right? For either of these guys. Who is better at the Taysom Hill role? Is it Justin Fields? The flanker, taking some wildcat snaps, playing quarterback a little bit.
I still think it's Justin Fields. 24. Let's see what he did in 24. 23. Let's see what he did in 23.
You can look that up. Kevin says, how did Vrabel win Coach of the Year? I'm not saying he's not a good ass coach, but the Patriots had an easy ass schedule. Kevin, I think it comes down to the fact that they had 4 wins and then they had 14 wins, plus 10, and they didn't really make their roster all that. I mean, it was a better roster for sure, but it's not like, they did a total haul on their roster, yeah, Will Campbell's a fine left tackle. They brought in some defensive pieces there. Stephon Diggs was a nice add, but I don't think they really overhauled their roster. It's not a 10-win overhaul. Their schedule was very easy, but that's probably why this is probably the hardest year for Coach of the Year, because I could make an argument for Ben Johnson. Liam Cohen, I feel like, needs to be in that conversation. I wonder how it went. I don't know. I didn't have it in front of me, but there's a lot of good options.
I can pull it up again. So Anthony Richardson's best game was 20 for 30 for 272 and 1 touchdown. Dude, like, he has thrown for over 225 yards once in his career. 2024, he played 11 games, 8 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. Ugh.
Yeah, he also had like 7 rushing touchdowns, though.
He had 6 rushing touchdowns, and I'm physically disgusted.
Okay.
Physically ill.
Shedeur Sanders had 7 touchdowns, 10 picks, and like 4 fumbles.
Yeah, but he got on the field his rookie year.
Yeah, good call. Jeff says, this is what they need to do. Bring in Anthony Richardson or bring in Justin Fields to the Browns, and then you compete. And if Shedeur can't beat out them, then that's what you do. And I feel like neither of these guys, Richardson or Fields, would not be the odds-on favorite. So it's like essentially Shedeur's job unless he loses it. That's the thing.
Here's your Coach of the Year voting results. Vrabel, 19. Liam Cohen, 16. So they're very close there. McDonald, 8. Ben Johnson or Kyle Shanahan, 1 or 6. Shanahan had more first-place votes that finished behind Johnson. Ben Johnson, 1. So got to give Ben Johnson.
1 first-place vote. Weird.
No, so I don't know how many. I don't know what these numbers represent, but there you go. Liam Cohen, not that far behind Mike Vrabel.
Okay, let's end the show on a little bit of wide receiver talk here for the draft upcoming. We're going to be doing a lot of this stuff in April, also in March with the Combine. So, my guy Storey, let's talk about the top 3 guys, because I feel like it's going to be these 3. Let me know if there's a name that might creep in there. But Carnell Tate, Lemon, and then my boy Jordan Tyson from ASU. So is there a 4th guy that might be thrown into this mix, or is that going to be probably the top 3?
So that's the tier right there, and they'll flip around throughout the pre-draft process. The next tier starts though with Denzel Boston, and actually Did you watch the Senior Bowl?
Is he Washington? Is he Washington?
He's Washington, yeah. Nicely done. Now, tell me where this guy's from. Casey Concepcion.
Ooh, that's the Indiana guy, right?
No, Texas A&M. So Elijah Surratt has actually moved up boards a little bit. That's the Indiana guy you're thinking about.
Yeah, I don't like him.
Texas A&M. He had an outstanding year last year, and he had a great Senior Bowl. I've actually started a list of guys to watch after the Senior Bowl. So guys that you should keep an eye on for the draft process. And Concepcion was one of the top guys there. There's also a guy I'll reveal later, a D2 guy that I think could make a splash. But yeah, the big three: Jordan Tyson, Mekhi Lemon, and Carnell Tate. I think they go in that order. I think that draft is going to probably stick in that order. I mean, Tyson is an all-around player, like great blocker, downfield ability, great breaks on intermediate routes, shifty at the line, can get off press coverage. Like, I love this guy. His film is absolutely incredible. He should be, I mean, I hesitate to say top 10 because he's not a Jeremiah Smith level talent who's coming out next year. But man, the guy is he's all that in a bag of chips. There you go.
I love him, dude. I love him. And here, you didn't mention that the injury concerns are very real.
Yes,
very real. He had a collarbone, he had an ACL in 2022, and he had another injury. So he had 2 injuries in one season. It's not. I've seen worse, medicals, and that's what it's going to come down to for me because the film. He is the most pro-ready of all these guys. Now, you could say it's Lemon is the most pro-ready guy because his position slot is easier to kind of adapt to than I feel like what they're going to throw at Jordan Tyson. The fact that I looked at his, not so much his route tree, but his alignment throughout the years of college at ASU. It's like even across the board, dude. He's lining up X, Y, Z, like all over the place, right? And like, I love that he's very experienced. ASU has that. I feel like the program, correct me if I'm wrong, they generally run a pretty decent pro-ready system, and he's going to be ready to play just based on his alignment.
They had a stint in there where they tried to run a little more spread, but they do run a very solid pro-ready system. I think a lot of the big difference there is their body size and body type. Like Jordan Tyson, 6'2", Mekhi Lemon is listed at 5'11". I'd be surprised if he was actually that tall.
5'10".
Yeah. So, but again, like you mentioned, it slots easier to adjust in the NFL than an outside wide receiver. But Titan's got all the intangibles that you want to see, like the ability to track the football, the ability to make plays downfield when to scramble when things break down. So Tyson, I think, is going to be the top wide receiver off the board. And then it's a bit of a toss-up between Carnell Tate and Mekhi Lemon. I think we'll have to wait and see what the pro days unveil, because I would doubt that Mekhi Lemon would run at the combine, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
So my Carnell Tate comp, let me know what you think. I like to compare 2 players, like a mold of both these guys. I don't like to do 1-to-1 comps. I saw a more souped up version of Alshon Jeffrey in Carnell Tate, and then with the ball skills of George Pickens. So I think if you pair those two together, because Carnell Tate is probably going to run, if he does run at all, like a 4.55, which George Pickens ran a 4.51. He plays faster for sure. And I know Alshon Jeffrey seems like a negative comp, but Alshon Jeffrey was a pretty damn good receiver, dude. And the body size is there for Tate. And we've seen Pickens be dominant. Now, Pickens, again, some rough years there in Pittsburgh, mostly because he's a fucking knucklehead. But what do you think of that comp? Kind of a mix between Alshon Jeffrey and George Pickens, because he's bigger than Pickens.
Yeah, his ball skills are the best of anyone in the league. I will argue that to the death. I can't wait to see what Tate does on a pro roster. The Alshon Jeffrey comp is interesting. How tall was Alshon Jeffrey? Because Tate is a big boy. He's 6'3", I think.
Yeah, I think Alshon Jeffrey might even be bigger. And I think George Pickens 6'2".
Okay.
So Alshon Jeffrey was 6'3", 215. So that's about the same size as Carnell Tate.
Tate's a little tinier in the body type than that. He's dude. Can you imagine if the Giants traded down and picked up Carnell Tate? You got Neighbors in the X and Tate in the Z.
That's what they need, because they can't keep on putting. I'm not saying Neighbors is injury prone. The ACL is different, but as we talked about before, have you ever seen a guy that's questionable for every game? Maybe that's because he doesn't like to practice. He's one of those guys that doesn't need to. He's Allen Iverson, right? We're talking about practice, but if you can move around, if you can move him around and you put Tate there at X, just not as a sacrificial X, right? But just, he'd be getting a lot of single coverage because I'm pretty sure that they'd be doubling the slot, right? They'd be doubling wherever Neighbors is at. So they need that pick. And let me take a little gander here at I have the draft order here. Here we go.
So
we have the Giants are at 5. Giants are at 5.
Yeah, it's too early. Obviously,
they could trade down.
He won't last until round 2, so that's why I think trading down to pick him up would be a good option. You could probably go down 10 slots and they could still get him.
Yeah, man, I like him. And, just crazy. Alshon Jeffrey ran a 4.48 in the combine. I did not think he was that fast. Like, he played slower than that for sure. But, man, I like Tate. I feel like he's a safe pick. And I feel like everyone's going to be in love with Lemon just because his production and like his film is wow, right? He made a lot of wild plays. I feel like Jordan Tyson has the more wow factor though, right? Maybe the film doesn't show it, but the body control that Tyson has, I just see a gamer, man. And this is what I loved about Michael Wilson coming out. And as you know, I've been on Michael Wilson forever. And the competitiveness, like I just feel like Tyson has that in him. And let's not forget Hines Ward. He's been working really closely with Hines Ward. That's a dude you want to work with because Hines Ward, I feel like two guys that I would want to work with if I was a wide receiver. Larry Fitzgerald might be top of the list because I just love Larry Fitzgerald. But Hines Ward and Steve Smith are two guys that I feel like weren't the best prospects coming out, weren't the biggest guys, weren't the fastest guys, but they are masters of the craft at wide receiver. Hines Ward in particular, man. Like, is there ever been a better blocking wide receiver than Hines Ward? Pound for pound?
Pound for pound, no. Although I would say that Antonio Brown was an incredible blocker.
Yeah, remember the block? No, it wasn't him. It was Juju Smith-Schuster's the one that laid out what was his name? Vontaze Burfict.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite clips, dude, just because the history that Vontaze Burfict had with the Steelers and just him standing over him, essentially. He should have spit in his face, too. I feel like he should have spit in his face because Vontaze Burfict, what a fucking thug, man. What a thug. I liked him, though. I liked him in IDP because, he got a lot of tackles for losses, but he also got ejected from like 40% of the games he ever played in.
Games, yeah.
Let's see. At 6, the Browns, I can see them taking – the Browns need a receiver so fucking badly, dude. That receiver room, I like Cedric Tillman, but he's just a 3 at best. Jerry Jeudy, that story's over with, right?
No, it's Harold Fannin or bust next year. They will. It's also like these guys might get steamed up draft boards because this is a bad year for free agent wide receivers, right? Like, who's on the market? Pickens is almost certainly going to get franchise tagged. So who does that leave? Who's on the? There's no big names. Nobody, no difference making.
Brandon Ayuk. Well, I'm just saying, like, where Ayuk's going to go? We were talking about this last night with Chaz. I think Ayuk's going to go to the Steelers because remember, the Steelers were in the works for that trade before they signed Ayuk. They were trying to make that trade for Ayuk. So I personally would take a flyer on Ayuk if I was a team, especially a team like the Steelers, because usually here's the funny thing about the Steelers is usually the receivers lose their minds after they leave the team. Right. So they'd be inheriting a wide receiver that lost his mind. How much would it cost?
They know
how much would it cost to get him? $2 million?
I don't know what his because he signed the contract, so I don't know what the situation will be for San Francisco to get out of that contract, and then what another team would have to pay to sign him because you can't straight cut him. So
they're voiding it. They're voiding the contract's going to be void.
Oh, they are.
The guarantees because what he did. Yeah, there's like a precedent for this where he didn't have any communication with the team, didn't go to any meetings, so he essentially said "fuck you." So like that's why he's the dumbest fucking guy in the world because he all he had to do was just like not even the meetings because he was injured, just like have contact with his coaches and his teammates, and he essentially said "fuck you," and they could void his contract and all of his guarantees, which would make him an actual free agent again. And we saw this with Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell lost a lot of money doing that. And like Le'Veon Bell it wasn't nearly as bad as Brandon Ayuk, right? It wasn't a major injury was coming off. So
all he did was hold out for the entire year. Like Le'Veon Bell didn't do anything bad as far as I know. Wow, if they void that contract, that would be I don't know. Is there like a precedent for that? Like at some point, I'm guessing somebody had their contract voided due to whatever, Like, what would you call it? Like conduct unbecoming, I guess.
It's what an idiot, dude. Like you just threw away all that money, and like we like Brandon Ayuk. I think he's a fine player. It's not like he was a first round NFL draft pick, and we all know that he was a product of Kyle Shanahan. Would you agree? Like he's good, he's fine, but Brandon Ayuk is just a metrics bro, right? It was so efficient on his targets. It was like 100 targets, 72 catches, and like 1,400 yards. Like that's not Brandon Ayuk's ability. He's a fine wide receiver. I think he's a good number 2 in the NFL, but he is not a true number 1. Not even close.
I would disagree with that. Did you see his tape from Arizona State? Man, Brandon Ayuk is a phenomenal talent. Like a bit of a head case, and he obviously had some injuries that sapped a little bit, but man, the guy is just an absolutely stud of talent. I think he's a number.
You think
1.
he's more talented than Pickens?
Yes.
No way.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
No.
Yeah. Pickens is talented. Don't get me wrong, but like when it comes to like downfield ability, give me Brandon Ayuk versus George Pickens all day long.
You got to think his production came with George Kittle on the field, with Deebo Samuel in his prime, and was that the year they didn't have McCaffrey yet, but still, like those two guys. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Brandon Ayuk. I think he's fine. I think he's maybe a top 18 receiver in the league. Maybe. I feel like Pickens proved he's a top 12 talent in the league. He's just an idiot.
I think
these guys are both idiots.
I think you're underrating Brandon Ayuk.
I just seen him disappear. I will say this: Brandon Ayuk is a pretty elite blocker for a wide receiver.
I mean, I've seen a lot of guys disappear, including but not limited to George Pickens.
Anyway, it'd be a good signing, right? Because how much you think he's going to fetch? Like with all this bullshit,
$1.5 million, like with all this BS around,
right?
Him?
I mean, well, you also got to factor he's coming off an ACL. Now he's going to be essentially one full year removed because he didn't play football this year, and he probably could have came back week 7, week 8. I mean, Stephon Diggs came back week 1, bro. And way older than Brandon Ayuk. So Brandon Ayuk he lost a lot of money. And I will say this, at least he's going to want to recoup some of that money. And if he gets a 1-year prove-it deal, like let's say $3 million, right? He can't flame out again. If he flames out again, he's out of the NFL. We have seen this time and time again.
I've seen this over and over again. So
he's going to be motivated.
I do have concern. I mean, how can you really quantify somebody's motivation when it comes to, like, we thought that Josh Gordon was going to be able to exercise his demons and be a valuable contributor in the NFL. And that poor guy couldn't get past like his, I hate to call it a substance abuse problem, but the NFL doesn't like marijuana, and that's what derailed his career. So can Brandon Ayuk fix this? He better get, like, his agent better like start calling him on a daily basis and be like you want to play again, you're gonna have to play on a 1-year prove-it deal, and actually perform, and then maybe you can get another big contract a couple years down the road.
We were talking about Lawrence Taylor. Just like there was a story that he showed up like at halftime to a game all coked out, and then they let him play, and he got like 2 sacks in the second half. Like Lawrence Taylor, what a crazy story that was. Obviously, dude was like the best edge rusher in the history of the NFL, but like how he never got suspended or any of that shit, and like Josh Gordon was out of the league for weed. Like how I know different times, right? 80s versus 2013, whatever that Josh Gordon thing was, but like. Yeah. If I'm Josh Gordon, I'm like, what the fuck is going on here, dude? He's just like, again, the Stephen A. Smith quote, stay off the weed.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but if you want to play in the NFL, you have to realize that the NFL Players Union is a weak, inept organization that's not going to stand up for basic rights, and you're going to have to abide by the draconian rules of the NFL because they are the 600-pound gorilla in the room.
Yeah, all right. I'm going to go through my bets one more time for those that just tuned in. If you guys want to check out the Super Bowl bets, and then if you want to hear stories, you can go back and find his. I'll put something in the timestamps. 95 and 56 in the year, gentlemen. We're going to end the year strong here. If we go 3-0, we're looking at 98 and 56 Story. Cha-ching, cha-ching. Nice. Kenneth Walker, the Tiny Dancer, over 99.5 total yards. Hunter Henry, over 37.5 receiving yards. And then both quarterbacks, that's Sam Darnold and Drake May, 15-plus passing yards in each quarter. That is plus 120 on FanDuel. That's a FanDuel special. I got to show you this real quick, Story. So you see the record here. Again, it's $5 a month to get these picks as I bet them on the Patreon. It's currently constructed, which is giving away money because you're making a lot of money there. This is Bill Simmons' crew, the Ringer 107 bets. Look at these records, bro. So I'm 95 and 56. Look at these records, dude. 45 and 58, 45 and 58, 47 and 56, 52 and 51, and 53 and 50. There's 2 teams that are at 500 essentially.
Bill
rough.
Simmons is like a betting consortium.
This is the Ringer. The Ringer thing is a show they have, like the Ringer universe. They have like all these shows, and they all do this thing every week where they bet against. It's a competition, like we were doing for Beating the Odds, right? And
oh, I see.
This is their records. This is their records. Here's my record. All these years, never having a losing year. 95-56. Let's go, dude. Let's fucking go. And then you have these. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, what does that tell you? These guys
that they don't know ball.
Yeah, they don't know ball. Sure.
We know ball, Story. We know fucking ball, dude. There's also a reason I don't bet lines. Why don't I bet lines? Because I'm a fantasy football player. And what's the closest to fantasy football? Fucking player props. Simple as that.
Closest to fantasy football player props in the gambling world, you mean?
Yeah, that's it's a 1-to-1 comparison. Like the lines don't really factor in. And also Vegas is very sharp on lines.
That's the thing. Vegas is incredibly sharp on lines. So if you're betting
they're not very sharp on props.
If you think that I would say that Vegas is still very sharp on props. They got enough data. Don't forget, DraftKings and FanDuel have years of daily fantasy data that they fed into massive algorithms in order to develop models that would price player props appropriately. So I think some of the other sites, though, that tend to lag behind because they don't build their own proprietary model. So sites like the ScoreBet, almost certainly, like I would say, Bet365's got a big overseas presence, but like Fanatics, like that's where you can find value. Those guys tend to lag behind because they're just copying the market. They're not making their own lines.
Yeah, but I just feel like they make mistakes on player props. They rarely get burned on a line.
It's pretty
like
rare.
The opening line is never that far off. There's some player props where I betted it, let's say 45 yards for a receiver, and by the time it kicks off, it's at 56. That's an insane. That's a 20% change. I mean, that's huge, dude.
Yeah, no, it's a massive difference. You're right though. Like they don't get burned on lines, and they can and do make mistakes on player props. You just got to be smart about it.
We got to think how much money on a given line, because there's so many more options player props wise. It's 1% on a given line. Let's say even if it's like a popular bet line, player prop, then there is a line, right? Like there's so much more money bet on the over, under, and spreads, money lines in terms of parlays is more where people hit player props. But the point is, you're not winning those parlays because everyone likes doing 8-leg parlays, which is the dumbest fucking thing I ever heard. Don't do 8-leg parlays, guys. Don't do it.
Don't do parlays.
All right, last comment here from Jeffrey. Brian Thomas Jr., there's a rumor that he may be moved. The Jaguars weren't happy with his production. I don't think they would move him because his stock is so low compared to what it was last year. And they just drafted him in the first round 2 years ago.
Yeah, where would they move him to? Like, I don't know how to agree.
What do you think he could fetch? You think they can get a back end first round pick for Brian Thomas still?
No, not right now. No.
They made a mess. It's crazy that they went 13-4, but they made a fucking mess of the Travis Hunter pick. You heard the report that Travis Hunter is now playing defense next year. I know it's an early report, but like, you don't trade up to take a defensive back. That's not even a defensive back 2 overall, bro. Like, what are we doing?
I said coming out, he's a much better defensive back than he is a wide receiver, and he's not even that great of a defensive back. So take that for what it's worth. But early second for Brian Thomas right now, based on his value, is what they can get, which isn't worth moving him because they've seen the upside of him. Parker Washington, Jacoby Myers is going to be another year older. Parker Washington might have been a flash in the pan. I think they fully expect Brian Thomas to get back to the level of production, maybe not his rookie year, but something close to that.
Well, think about it. They don't have an X receiver on the roster because Jacoby Myers can play X, but he's not an X receiver. Travis Hunter is most certainly not an X receiver, and Parker Washington is 5'9".
Parker Washington is a tiny dude. Sounds like his name is long, so it sounds like he should be a tall dude, but he's not. He's a short dude.
He's a very good player, though.
Parker Washington, so many syllables in there. You think he'd be really tall, but he's not.
Where did he go to college?
I don't know. If
that's rare. You don't know that because I know he was a really late pick. I think he might have been like a 6th or 7th rounder, but this is the kind of guy we'll find next year for you guys coming out in the April shows. We'll find next year's Parker Washington. We will find next year's Puka Nacua if there is one, because Storey was on the Puka Nacua train.
Damn it, I did know that. He went to Penn State. I knew that. It's late.
Travis Hunter will never be a number one receiver. He just doesn't. He doesn't. He's a slot receiver, bro. He's tiny.
Yeah.
What a bad pick. You know what? Hey, Jaguars in a great situation though. You know, we've seen this before, right? We saw the Eagles fucking take who the hell did they take over Justin Jefferson? That fucking Jalen Reagor. They took Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson, and they came back pretty good from that one. So I guess getting AJ Brown is pretty good. One last question from Bandit. Sorry, I missed your question, Jay. AJ Brown going elsewhere. Would you say most certainly for this?
AJ Brown going elsewhere? I don't know, man. I don't know what the new offensive coordinator is going to want to do there. Whether they take a look at the game logs and realize when they started force feeding him, they started playing or losing games. I don't know. He didn't seem very happy there, but he did have production there. I think it's 50-50. I don't know.
Yeah, I think they should send him to the Browns. That would be what do you think they could fetch? What do you think AJ Brown would get in real life NFL draft capital? Second rounder?
Third round pick.
Damn. Yeah, that's not worth it. I mean, at that point, keep him, but the Sirianni and AJ Brown relationship is definitely it's in tatters right now, dude.
You got to remember, NFL teams really value their first 2-round picks, especially their first round pick. And AJ Brown is probably on the wrong side of the age curve. I'd be shocked if he got a second round value from a team.
It's a messy situation. Last comment. This is the last one. Furious. He thinks that Travis Hunter can be a number one because he was the best wide receiver in the class and he's very athletic. He's almost too athletic. I don't think he could stay healthy. That's the biggest problem. Do you think there's a chance he could be a number one? Let's say he's not an X receiver because St. Brown's a number one. He's not an X receiver. So it can be done as being essentially a flanker. But does he have the ability and does he have the wherewithal and the savviness to be a number one?
No. Absolutely.
You don't like Travis Hunter.
I'm not going to put stock in a dude whose production was buoyed by 46 pass attempts per game. I'm just not, Colorado's not a prolific program. He was a much better, he should have stayed at cornerback. He got banged up the year before when he was playing wide receiver, not as a cornerback. So I don't know. Not a number one? No, absolutely not.
Okay, everyone, subscribe to the channel. Tomorrow, no show, but Saturday, Nick O is going to be on the show. Last question. I keep on saying this. Do you think Crosby is worth 2 first-round picks even after only getting 10 sacks this year? I don't care about this year's sack total because he is an elite player. He's only 28 years old, I believe, maybe 29. He's worth 2 first-rounders, right?
Oh, I thought we were talking about Mason Crosby. I was going to say Mason Crosby.
No, Max Crosby.
Obviously, we were talking about Mason Crosby. Yeah, he is a guy that's worth 2 first-round picks. But is somebody going to be willing to pay for that?
Parsons got that. Of course.
Yeah.
I think he's elite, dude. I think that the Cowboys are a perfect landing spot. I think the Bears, that's a perfect fit, right?
God, don't tell me that. It's a perfect. We need our picks, man. We need to rebuild that defense through the draft and not just scoop up high-priced free agents or high-priced. His contract is going to bury the Bears for years to come. The Bears are already over the cap.
Well, the problem was we have Sweat, who makes a bunch of money, does nothing. He does nothing.
So does Jalen Johnson. He makes a ton of money.
I think we could afford him, and I think we could afford the 2 first-round picks because, let's be honest, those first-round picks aren't that valuable if you're going to be winning. You know what I mean?
They're not going to be winning next year. They had the benefit of a 4th-place schedule this year. They're going to have a 1st-place schedule next year. It's going to be a lot tougher road to hoe for the Bears next year. Mark my words.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that Max is worth it. All right, we're going to end on that one. Saturday night, 9 p.m., a little earlier show, 9 p.m. Central with Nick O-Face to give us another full breakdown of the Super Bowl, answer all your questions. Storey, hell of a year, man. This was your 68th show 58. This year, football show?
Yeah.
Did I say 58? No, I think it was 68. It was 68. Did I say 58? It was 68 shows.
Yeah.
68 shows for Storey. Best in the business, man. You make my job really easy and very enjoyable. Always appreciate you coming on and enjoy talking ball with you, among other things, because it's not always just ball on this show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's always good to see the chat. We could sit here all night just answering questions because I'm sure people are a little starved for NFL-related content right now. So You guys will have to hold it down until I get back from Las Vegas.
Yeah, man. Enjoy the trip. Hopefully, let's root for a competitive Super Bowl. I need it for that bet with Sam Darnold and Drake May's 15 plus passing yards to stay close. So we really hope that hits. But we will see you in the near future, and everyone else, we'll see you guys on Saturday night. So enjoy the game. Hopefully, we can all make some money. Let's just make some money, huh?
That's what we hope for. We'll circle back.
All right, guys. Love your life. Stay positive.